Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
Sean Bell.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Yo.
Oh, who else thought that was going to be the Mario tune? Eh?
I
probably should have done that. It was just like generic sort of fanfare.
It was so weird.
Sort of game show fanfare thing I was going for, just because Farley always does his big entrances, doesn't he? You know, he's always showing off, and
he does. He loves it. Yeah. He's always showing off, that boy. But that was a hard left. It was like, oh, Mario, yeah, we're doing a bit of no, we're not. No, we are not. We'd like to start the show as we always start the show and give a big up to our Patreon producers, the Full Nels crew. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Richard Sawyer, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, Graham Mackay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Man, Rocket Man 76, and my dog Skip. That's it. Our Full Nels crew now have a pet, and it's a dog, and it's called Skip. That's the way I see it. Or it sounds, because it's my dog Skip written down at the end, it sounds like I'm saying he doesn't need to pay to be in the Full Nels crew, right?
Just part
my
of it,
dog Skip is in it.
I mean,
right?
What sort of dog has the income required to have enough to be a Full Nels member?
Well,
it's probably
maybe
that
if that
one.
dog has got like 1 million followers on Instagram, it's probably making bank.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah, but that's all cryptocurrency, though, right? He's not actually getting the cash. Like, in fact, actually, it's going to crash, and he's going to owe some people some money. But what about the Paw Patrol? What's the pay like for them?
I think they're just public servants, aren't they? Or they're a private enterprise, I think. So yeah, maybe they are well paid.
It's definitely a private company.
Unless Ryder is totally raking it in and just giving them dog, because he just gives them dog biscuits,
liver sausages and shit. Could be the dog? That meme of the dog holding the sign that says "fuck you, pay me." I reckon it's that.
Well, definitely.
See, I'm just wondering whether Ryder has made a donation to the Conservative Party to get the contract. That's just
okay. We're going too deep into this. No politics, please. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/TCGS. We really appreciate your support. There are all different tiers there. We got live talksovers. We've got bonus shows. We got the Full Nels crew. If you would like your pet to join the Full Nels crew, then you can pay, as we've just established. Pets find money hard to come by, so pay and just put their name down, and we'll get your pet in the Full Nels crew. Let's get a pet for every member of the Full Nels crew. Should we? Is that too cheeky? Is that too much to ask?
They might not all have pets.
I don't know.
So someone's going to pay the money to say, I want to be Thomas's dog.
A Jack Ovens budgie. Right, okay. Before we get on with our usual feedback, we should talk about last week's show, shouldn't we? We should absolutely talk about last week's show.
Yeah, probably should.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got to talk about the what I thought of E3. Mm-hmm. We've got to talk about what you guys thought of Nintendo, because we haven't actually heard that yet. Let's point that out. I'll say this up front, right? Absolutely smashed it last week. I had no idea you would go to that length to get what is essentially a whole conference past me. For those of you that don't know and haven't worked out, and just we've had a few messages saying I've got no idea what the lies are. Yeah, we do need to clarify. Yeah, we had so many messages saying, "Oh, well, I don't know what the lies were because I didn't follow E3." It turns out the boys pretty much, with probably one exception, was it?
Two
exceptions. There's 3 exceptions, but we'll go into that.
Okay,
3 exceptions. They pretty much made up the whole of the Nintendo conference. So everything you heard them announcing from the Nintendo conference didn't happen. What are the 3 exceptions, Matt?
So we had to keep in Mario and Rabbids, unfortunately. We wasn't going to, but then thought if we don't include that, Dave might think, hang on, Mario & Rabbids was revealed at Ubisoft and it wasn't shown at Nintendo.
I wouldn't have thought
we didn't
that.
want to, but we had to keep that one, and annoyingly. We added in Bullseye. That wasn't technically in the conference, but it was an announced game during that period, and we thought you'll never believe Bullseye. So that was
really?
Okay.
I didn't know it was an actually announced game.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then we kept in Zelda, but obviously we changed the release date everything else, we kept Zelda
What
because
was
we
the
wanted to
release date
discuss
then?
Zelda, but everything else is.
Oh, 2022, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's 2022. Yeah, I remember
But
seeing
yeah,
that. 'Cause
I
that was
really
pretty
wanted
cool.
nothing new. Well, I mean, so nothing real at all. But we kind of had to concede that we had to include some.
Right, okay, let me just say a couple of things because I think you should have done everything. Because then that would have just been the statement from then on. Do you remember when we made up the entire Nintendo conference?
Would you not twig that they didn't show off the new Rabbids game, even though they had mentioned it at Ubisoft?
It was that was the one that we was most bothered about because the Zelda one.
Because
I think clicked with me.
The logic was like we thought, well, we can't get away with saying that they didn't show Breath of the Wild 2 if they're also not showing the Switch Pro, right? And we thought, okay, we probably could have made up the Switch Pro, but then that's a lot riskier.
Yeah, way too risky.
So, yeah.
No, mate, the Switch Pro, you could have just gone with all the rumours, I reckon.
Yeah, true.
But anyway, I mean, look, it sounds like I'm being critical. I'm not. You absolutely done me. Like, honestly. What's amazing is, like, do you remember when, after we did the Splinter Cell stuff with you, Matt, you come on the next show and say, I listened to it back and I'm frustrated with myself because I was almost there, but I wasn't. You know what I mean? That's how I felt when I listened to that bit back again, because the amount of times I'm going, that's not true. Nah, I'm going to write this one down. And what was it? My favourite bit of that whole bit was when I went to James, have you seen the amiibo? You went, yeah. What are the hands on?
Oh, yeah. We were all like,
Oh, James nailed that. That was great.
I'll tell you something else, Dave.
Spikes.
As we were recording that, I mean, we were editing the doc as it was going on as well to react to your reactions as well, because there was a couple of things where I was like, we've got to remove this because he's never going to buy it. It was like,
because I said that go on.
You know, the Ring Fit Plus stuff. Like there was a whole bit that I put in there that was about how there was multiplayer, but you had to use the mobile app, and then I just thought, I think he's going to twig too much. It's too obvious.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, right? When you're in that situation, and this probably giving it away now, but I think we all think like this. When you're in the chair and you don't know anything, and you're hearing all this stuff, all your brain is thinking is, okay, I don't care about Ring Fit, get this bit out of the way so I can hear what's announced next. Yeah. So you're not really paying attention, you're not really focusing on something, you know what I mean? So yeah, during the Ring, I don't even remember you talking about Ring Fit Plus that much, to be honest with you, because I was not listening. I was just thinking, get this over with, I've got nothing to comment on this, let's just move on.
It does sound like the kind of bullshit thing they do, though, you know, that would then go on too 100%.
Long.
You know, it's
another bit that we had to change on the fly was that I had added during the massive Game Builder Garage section that never happened, that actually you can use a mouse because I had looked at recent updates for that, and you can genuinely use a USB mouse. But then during the show, James was like, "This is bollocks! I'll never believe it." And I'm like, "I think you deleted it, didn't you, James?" And
I deleted it.
text James like, "No, James, that's real. That's an actual, that's actual real thing."
Okay, I'll tell you the great thing. But now, before we move on to what I was about to say, that was it for the lights, was it? Or did you sneak into any of the others?
No, that was it.
No, we wanted to focus everything on Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because
Dave, we were hoping you were going to think that Sonic Unleashed thing wasn't real because it just sounds ridiculous, but it was real.
What's the Sonic Unleashed?
Yeah, the Sonic Unleashed orchestral
performance.
Number. No, I totally believe that. But then that's the sort of stuff like, when you do these lives, you can't just drop in stuff that no one really cares about, because what's the point? That's easy.
Yeah.
Going, they're bringing out a new, failing to think of an example now, but sort of a game that I don't. There's a new Baldur's Gate game coming out. It's like, gotcha.
There
there's
actually
not.
is, but
and it would be but it'd be like me just going, okay. But so that doesn't work.
Oh, no, that's why we targeted Nintendo, because we thought you do care, about that. So that was the best way to go.
Yeah, well, for me, it was less about the individual lies, because there was nothing too groundbreaking there where I went, "Whoa, my god!" But it was more about the fact that you managed to get so many through in that one conference. It's incredible, really. But yeah, well played, absolutely well played. It was really well done. And the great thing about this is that meant the next morning I could sit and watch the Nintendo Direct without knowing what was being announced, with my son. Oh, and I should point this out. Maybe we cover this in the feedback. Do we cover in the feedback about whether we should say it or not? Is that covered?
Someone did ask about this, but I think we sort of agreed we were going to talk about it anyway, right? I think I took the question out because I think we decided we were going to talk about it anyway. But yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that now before we move on to our actual E3 impressions, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a number of messages, not those ones. We'll get to those. We had a number of messages about whether we should be revealing to the person who doesn't know what the lies are at the end of that show. Now, what happened was a few years ago, I said we should definitely do that, and then after I think Splinter Cell, we said we definitely shouldn't because it'd be interesting to see the listeners to see if they get excited about this Splinter Cell game that doesn't exist as well, you know, and sort of put them in the person's shoes that has missed everything. Now I'm not so sure. I think a lot of people were very upset that they didn't hear me finding out what all the lies were. And but it was a decision that we've made, so you know no one did anything wrong. But I think we've all sort of agreed that maybe we should take it case by case from now on, rather than stick to a rigid rule. But there is something that might make up for it. Now, hopefully, you can save this from the messages earlier, Matt, because obviously the Mac that I made it on is no longer here, but. As some of you know, when we record a podcast, we have a backup recording. And 9 times out of 10, I forget to turn that backup recording off after we stop, recording the show. So this is a clip from last week after we'd finished the show, taken from the backup recording that I've edited together where we're talking about the lies. And at the end, you can hear me realising what they'd done. So do you want to play that now, Matt? What's going on, so
yeah. Good one.
I'm excited. But also, I was saying, okay, right, Forza Horizon 5. Let me Google that.
Yeah, but also we're saying, I was like, I'm fairly sure Dave said he thought it was good to not say, but I couldn't find the tweet because I know at the beginning you're like, "What you should have told me on the pod? That's ridiculous." And then I think
Forza
you changed your mind.
Horizon 5 lives.
Oh, it looks so good, Dave. It looks unbelievable.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely watching that.
But make sure you watch it in 4K.
Hold on. Sea of Thieves, Pirates of the Caribbean moment. What? A Pirate's Life. 3 days ago. So that's true as well.
That's true, yeah.
So Fall Guys on Switch, is that true? Switch. No, it's not true.
Yeah, that one's not right.
That's the only one you got.
That's cool because that probably means that I assume I've missed more lies.
Quite a few, yeah.
Quite a few. How many were there? Do you know? Do you know?
It's better for you to discover yourself, I think.
Okay, all right, cool. I will do that then. Tomorrow. I bet there's. Was there someone that I crossed off the list? Tell me that. Was there some that I've crossed off the list that wasn't? Yeah.
There's one. One of them. Yeah.
Excellent. Rayman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man! So they didn't open with Smash.
No, they did. They did. Just not Rayman.
Oh, okay. Oh, what? There's Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah. Look, I think we should not go through the conference right now. Because...
Good point.
All right.
Metroid Dread. Did you talk about that?
No.
So did you just leave stuff out? You've left stuff out,
please. Because this
right. Okay. I'm gonna go. See you later.
Bye.
Right.
See you, boys.
Oh my god. So there we go. I know it sounds like there wasn't much of a reaction there, but considering I was alone in a room with no one listening and I still shouted, "Oh my god, oh my god."
Yeah.
I think that pretty much sums up what had happened there. And also, I love the way James was like, "Oh my god, we better go. We better go. We better go."
We're going to tell us like 50-55.
No, because it was like, because I thought we'd agreed that we were going to do it the next week, and I just thought this is getting. I didn't want us to have to confirm things for you without you seeing it yourself, because I just thought that'd be a bit weird.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So, as I say, the cool thing was I sat down with Harry the next morning and I watched the Nintendo Direct without knowing anything, and that was fun. I thought it was okay. Maybe because I thought the one that you said was terrible.
Well, this was it because we didn't want to obviously if the one we'd come up with was too shit, it might have been obvious. But then also,
no, I don't know if it would have been with Nintendo, mate.
Yeah, true.
I think you could pretty much do anything and get away with it.
Well, that's what we did. It's the easiest. It's always the easiest one every year to totally write fresh. The others, because Nintendo could do anything, they could go from the ridiculous to the sublime or whatever. But and then in the week we're like, what if we're brainstorming? If Nintendo has an amazing conference, is it better that we totally make it up and make it boring? What if they're totally a shit conference and we make it more? We're trying to work out the ramifications of what would we?
You've got to think about what they're actually going to do. Yeah,
and like you say, I think it sort of worked out.
Because we had that the year that you did it, Matt. Because we were going, what if they do announce a Splinter Cell game? What do we do?
Then you realise that's never going to happen.
Yeah, good point.
Sorry, Sean.
Yes. I was just going to say, that's why it sort of worked out quite nicely that the conference was actually pretty good, because it meant you had one entire thing to just sit and watch and enjoy it, fresh. So yeah, it worked out all right.
I would say it was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was mind blowing or anything. No. So obviously the highlights I took away from it, I really like the look of that Mario Party game, mainly because we've been doing that a lot in Super Mario Party anyway, so loads of new mini games would be fun. What are they? They're not releasing that for £60 though, right?
I bet they are.
Of course, that's
the thing,
will.
Yeah, because when that was first shown, we thought. We thought it was. This has got to be DLC, for Mario Party. These are
that's
old
what it
balls,
looked like, didn't it?
Yeah, these are old balls
What's
from other
it called?
games.
Mario Party.
It's Super something.
Super something.
Yeah.
Super Champion. Is that the one?
I don't know.
Mario Party Superstars. No, it's £40.
Okay,
it's £40. So I think that might be doable. Although it says
50 quid, it's 50 quid in games.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty bad. Yeah.
But the fact is all N60, the old N64 games and whatnot.
We'll play that. We'll get that and play that. I thought Mario Golf had a better showing this time round.
Did you think
they made it look a little bit more fun?
I don't know, because I was initially
sinking down
up for it, and now I'm less interested the more I see of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose so. The other games new WarioWare. Okay, I'm not crazy on WarioWare, but the co-op stuff sounds good.
That was one of the main ones I was excited for, because it's been so long since one of those. And okay, the Wii U ones weren't very good, but previous to that, that was a very good series. But then also, I always kind of think of those games as being kind of like budget releases, and then you say that this isn't really a budget release, it's also pretty expensive.
They don't do budget releases anymore, that mob. What about, what do you call it, the Advance Wars, James?
That is the other one I'm really excited for. Again, £50 though, which is a bit annoying.
Is it? But is it a reboot of 1 and 2? Because it's called Advance Wars 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's a remake. It's remakes of 1 and 2 basically. It's not they're not remaking the whole thing.
Such a shame.
Which is But you take what you can get these days in Advance Wars, because there's been nothing for so long. And if they've updated the visuals and made it look a bit nicer, I will definitely play those again, because they were very, very good games. It's a shame.
The sequel to Breath of the Wild, as you say, looks really interesting. A lot of people have been pointing out that it's in 60 frames and not 30. And I think that's interesting. I was really surprised that they didn't announce the Switch Pro or whatever everyone's calling it. That seems mad to me, but there you go. It's Nintendo. What else was there? I don't think there was much else, was there?
Metroid Dread was the big one.
Yeah, Metroid Dread looked terrible to me.
Really?
Was it because it was just in 30 frames, but it looked really sluggish?
Okay. I'm excited, but also it's by Mercury Steam, who did.
So they did that. Games, didn't they?
Yeah, so they did the sort of big Castlevania reboot, but they did Mirror of Fate on the 3DS, which was like a 2D/3D Metroidvania, and then they also did Samus Returns, the sort of remake of Metroid 2, and I believe both of those went down pretty well. Yeah. Cautiously
I really wanted
excited.
to play Samus Returns, the remake, because it was very good, but it was 3DS only at a time when the Switch was doing quite well, which was a kind of a shame. But when I saw it, it looked not finished, Metroid Dread, and I know it shouldn't be finished because it's not out yet, but it looked less finished than I thought it would be, seeing as it's coming out in. Was it?
By the end of the year, barely showed you anything, did they?
No.
This little cutscene.
No. On the treehouse, they went through it in like big.
Oh right.
Yeah, they did a lot of footage and that, and I know it looked very sparse to me, which was a bit a bit odd. But
no, I mean, I'm the wrong person for it. Like, I'm not a massive Metroid fan at all, really. But I was absolutely blown away that they did that again, where they went, I know you want us to talk about this game. We're not going to do that, but what about this one, guys? Yeah?
I mean, at least this was
that's twice.
At least this was a new game rather than, like, if it had been Samus Returns HD, I'd have been like,
come on. Everyone was after Metroid Prime, and they're like, nah.
Well, I don't know, because if you're a long-term Metroid fan, it's just as likely that you're keen for another 2D one than another Prime. So. Yeah.
Because the 2D ones have been better than the 3D ones anyway, like in my opinion, over that time. So.
But other than that, really, like, nothing mind-blowing, but okay. Should we do a quick one on Microsoft?
Yeah, go for it.
Like, I think the most exciting thing about Microsoft was how much is coming to Game Pass. Like, it's really going to feel crazy when all these games come out over the next 2 years. Like. And you're just paying your monthly subscription for them. That seems mad to me. The game I'm most excited for out of all of E3 actually is Starfield, which is a game I didn't give a shit about beforehand. Yeah, because I think, obviously, we don't know what it is, or we haven't seen any gameplay or whatever, but as a tone piece, that was way more exciting than I thought it would be. Like, I thought Starfield would be like, we're driving around on the fucking universe. Come on, we got a crew. Like, say, for example, Outer Worlds or Mass Effect to some extent. It is very much like there's an established space program here and we're going to do this. Whereas that seemed very much like, we ain't that far in the future, actually. And this is like... I don't know. It just had that feeling of shit.
Like, James might back me up on this. You can tell a lot by how a work of science fiction is approaching the subject by how they depict a spaceship taking off. Because
there's that and the communications.
Yeah,
if they're going, hey, what are you doing? You're like, okay, so this is wacky science fiction. But if they're going. You're like, okay, so this is a little bit more grounded, is it? Okay. My only fear, though, Sean, is that I played the opening hour of Outriders, and I was like, this is really interesting. And then it was like, 50 years later. And I was like, oh, fuck off. So, it's not guaranteed that it's going to be set with that sort of... science fiction around it, with that sort of grounded feeling in reality. But as a tone setter, if it does touch on that, then I'm very excited for that game.
I'll tell you what.
Because, I love the idea of Skyrim and how open it is and, how that world feels like, you're in that world. But I don't like the fantasy stuff, so having it set in space just seems really exciting to me.
Going back to the Game Pass thing, like watching that, like the whole of that Microsoft thing, it really, after that, made me just think Sony really do need something like this. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like for their first party games or whatever, but they need something where they're also offering like third party games and like indie games and stuff like that on the regular, I think, to people, like more than what they are at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, so like in 2 years' time, I think that's when it's really going to hit them. Because at the moment, when you think about the last time there was like a game that launched on Game Pass that everyone went, whoa, hold on, this is exciting. It was a while ago, and I think, all right, Knockout City, and that that got people trying that game out.
There was a free version of that on other platforms, though, wasn't there?
There was, and I think
also Outriders.
Outriders did quite well off the back of it, possibly, but I don't think that was quite up to. There's things like Spiritfarer where people were buzzing about that game before it came out. I know we didn't end up liking it, but people were buzzing about that game before it came out, and then it was like, oh shit, right, that's out on Game Pass, brilliant.
Yeah.
When that's happening regularly, like once a month, where they're going, here's a new game on Game Pass, here's a new game, and they're things like Starfield or Halo or stuff like that, that's when it's going to be like, holy shit, this service is actually really popping.
Yeah.
And that's probably when the price is going to go up. But for now, I mean, wow. That's what blew me away about their conference. And some of the games, like that what is that game with Willem Dafoe in it and all the
12 minutes.
You know, the fun.
Beyond Two
minutes,
Souls.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, 12 minutes is like another one of those where it's like, you know, it's a risk. We don't know enough about the game, and you know it could end up being not that great. But just knowing that it's coming to Game Pass, it's like, well, I'm going to play it day one then. I'm going to play it day one. Of course I am. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
It's there for me. So that's what
Sony needs as well. They need, like, I know, like stuff like Ratchet and Clank and that kind of stuff. They're not going to do it with those. There's no way, because they can already clearly sell. I mean, Ratchet and Clank was like number one. You know, they can sell a lot of those, but they still need to put something together, I think, which is offering some of these like indie games and like smaller stuff as well that is included every month. Because
I don't know, man. If they're still selling those consoles at the rates that they are, and they're still selling the software at the rates that they are, I assume so. Then I think at 70 quid a pop as well, you know, I think
Sony's strategy has never been services. I mean, they've tried services with, you know, the various like TV, music, and incarnations, but it's rarely worked. But all they need to do, I mean, they're never, as we said, they're never going to put first party on PS Now, but they could beef it up with some cool indies, but they also don't really need to at the moment. Everyone keeps saying they need to have a competitor. I don't think they do.
This is why I said they'll do something like this with only PS4 games. There you go.
Yeah, probably. Another great example of that is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Mm-hmm. Now, we all know that we're going to load that game up and go, wow, it looks incredible. Wow, I'm flying over my hometown. I'm kind of done with it, right? Like that's what it's going to be like for us. For a lot of people, it will be their lifelong game and they love it, right? But for us, it'll be very much like, isn't this funny that you can fly here? And then you're done. But the fact that we can just do that and it's covered by our monthly payment is fucking great. So watching that, I mean, again, nothing spectacular announced. I wasn't blown away with what they showed of Halo, to be honest with you. You know, as we said, they didn't really show much of the campaign.
No, that's the thing. I mean, I think it's hard to be blown away. I thought multiplayer looked really good, but without a
but that's it though. Did the multiplayer look really good? It didn't look like it was doing anything new.
It looked fine. It didn't look amazing.
Yeah, it looked like a Halo game, and it was like, okay, I will play that, but I wouldn't look at that and go, wow, because it didn't look anything stunning, and but, you know, it might turn out to be great. Let's wait until the end of the year to see how that game pans out. But, I mean, Forza Horizon, I mean, what a joke that team is. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, even with, you know, I said this about when they released Forza Horizon 4, and we've been playing that a lot this week based on us watching the trailer. Harry and I watched the trailer, so we've both been playing Forza Horizon a lot, obviously. And when that game come out, I said they're a piss-taking development team that are taking the piss at everything they do because they're doing it so well that it's like they're doing things that other teams must be going, that shouldn't even be possible right now, you know. And even that trailer that they did for Forza Horizon 5 was just perfection. Do you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, look how good everything looks, and look at all this stuff you can do. It's us, innit? So it's gonna be good. And you're like, well, yeah, it is. It's gonna be incredible. I can't wait for that game, and I will play that, Mr. PR man. Like it's like the bit where they show you the rocks close up. And it's not like a screenshot. Like most other trailers would go, look at this close-up of this screenshot. It's not that. You heard the car coming along in the background, then the camera pans over and goes behind the car. And you're like, are you taking the fucking piss? Of course you are. Of course you are. So, yeah, Forza Horizon 5 is going to be incredible.
Do you see...
James, actually, before we move on, James, can I ask you, did you play much Forza Horizon 4?
I didn't know. Although, after watching that trailer, I have also downloaded it as well, and I'm planning to play it. Okay, so what you need to do then is you need to do that and then pay for the Lego stuff, because that's only 15 quid, and that's brilliant as well, right? Mm-hmm. But I think this might explain why you're kind of nonplussed on the series, or you don't count it or whatever, because when you sit down and play it and realise just how much fun you're having playing it,
and how it just lets you do what you want. And yeah, fuck it, here's points, go for it. You're unlocking stuff by just mowing down the bushes. Yeah, fine, if that's what you want to do. It's so good. It's so good. And seeing the fact that they've somehow managed to make one of the best looking games out there look even better is really exciting. I can't wait to play that game.
Yeah. Do you see why I'm not fussed about the ray tracing stuff?
Yes.
Like, obviously ray tracing is good, but if this is how good they can make a game look without it, I'm not too precious, you know?
Ray tracing, I think we'll talk a lot more later because we're going to cover Ratchet and Clank and stuff, and obviously that's a big part of it. But there's something about ray tracing that works for me.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because, you know, again, we'll talk about this during Ratchet and Clank, but I think the options that they're starting to give you are a good thing, but also slightly an annoying thing. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm kind of on board with ray tracing. But I know what you're saying. Especially when you're driving through a desert, you don't need ray tracing, in my opinion. The reflections off the car look good enough as it is. I mean, the best time I've seen ray tracing is either with interior shots or like where you're driving past a lot of glass or flying past a lot of glass or something. Like, that's where it makes the big difference. But anyway, other than Microsoft, the other stuff that looked really good to me was the... I mean, Devolver Digital was the first one of their presentations that I really enjoyed. I thought they nailed it this time.
Yeah.
It was far less like, oh, his arm comes off, his head comes off, and screaming at the camera and all that sort of stuff. Like, that was the stuff that I just thought, do that once or twice. Don't do that for 15 minutes straight. You know what I mean? Like, make it an odd, weird thing. Don't make it the whole thing. Whereas this, it had the right level of irony and piss-taking and all that sort of stuff in it. So I think it worked this year, actually. And the games they showed looked great as well. So yeah, really, really excited for what's coming up. You know, the vast majority of the stuff that looked really cool were indie games. And we've always loved indie games. They've always been like in our top 10 list. And it looks now that we're going through a period where indie games are going back to where they were, if you know what I mean. So what I mean by that is when indie development first sort of like, not first, obviously, it's always been there, but when it took that big step forward and lots of people were talking about these new indie games that were coming around.
Like with Live Arcade and stuff, wasn't it?
The Summer of Arcade and all that sort of stuff. It seemed like these are really unique ideas that are coming out of nowhere, and that's what we want. And then, unfortunately, they seem to follow a formula and fall into an indie game category rather than being these unique ideas that sort of looked like they were doing something that no one else was doing. And it feels like we're going back to that. You know what I mean? It feels like we're going back to these original ideas again, and they're breaking the mold again. So, you know, because even visually and gameplay ideas and, you know, all that sort of stuff, I'm hopeful that the next 5 years are going to be really interesting for indie games. I can't wait to see what comes of it.
So I watched the Wholesome Direct, and you can see, and I'm not having a go at anyone, but you can see that there are still like trends, right? Like, you watch the Wholesome Direct, and it's like, I've seen 3 games about cooking and 2 about running a cat cafe. So like there are still things like that sort of become, you know, a thing or whatever. But yeah, I know what you mean. It feels like people are really experimenting again in a way they haven't for a few years.
Yeah, like that Ecuador football game that you were talking about. When you look at it, you think what they've done there. I was blown away by how realistic everything looked, and I think artists are now starting to say, actually, if we lower the quality in certain ways, it can look way more realistic because of that. Because, you know, that presentation about what that company did to GTA, where they remapped the graphics, one of the things they said is that they lowered the quality of the image because that's what we're used to seeing from GoPro footage and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you're not used to seeing these razor sharp imagery. It's always a bit shaky, a bit blurred or whatever, and then when you see it, you're like, that connects with my brain because that's how I usually see high speed like driving videos or whatever. I think they're getting wind of that stuff as well, you know.
that stuff though with it, like, there's, as you said, Sean, where there's like a theme and there's a lot of people sort of jumping on that. I mean, that's always happened though, isn't it? I just think back to like the 16-bit era and all those like cutesy platformers that there were. It's just like as soon as Sonic came out, there was millions of those, and it's like everyone was doing it.
But indie development, when it first started, but during that summer of arcade stuff, it was bucking that trend.
Yeah.
It wasn't, here's Gears of War, here's a bunch of games trying to be Gears of War, here's Uncharted, here's a bunch of games trying to be Uncharted. It wasn't that. Everything seemed to be a little bit more unique. But then it all turned into, here's a roguelike platformer that's really hard.
Here's a roguelike deck builder. That's why we're joking about that. They started
falling into that trap again. And I think Sean's right. There are still some games that seem to, as you say, Cat Cafe stuff sounds like something that you would see a lot and stuff like that. But there are a lot of what I saw at this thing was like, fuck, that looks good for this reason. That looks good for this reason. And that's not happened with me in indie games for a little while. So,
what did you think of that first-person kind of roguelike dungeon racing type game where you get to the end?
I mean, as I said on the show, I thought it was a lie because I couldn't see how logically it could work, and I still can't. I'm not completely taken with it. I like the concept. I want to see it in practice.
That's actually out tomorrow as we record this, Tuesday 22nd, I think.
Was it? Really? I thought, what, for beta or the full game?
The early access,
right.
Okay.
I'm not convinced that, because it does feel like it could be a victim of its own success. If there's like 5 million people playing it, it is literally going to be, someone's completed it. Okay, fine. I'll start it. Someone's completed this one as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they found a way around that. They must have thought about that. So
yeah. What did you make of the Sea of Thieves stuff?
I mean, I don't care about Sea of Thieves, or I've not seen a single Pirates of the Caribbean film, so it didn't really bother me. No.
I mean, don't bother. They're not.
Your reaction to it was worth watching, though, because I watched the talks over for that, and you just went, oh, fuck off. Like, your disdain for it was hilarious.
I mean, because they did a special showcase on it last night. It does look really cool, and crucially, it is just you and your crew. It separates you from the rest of it. Yeah,
and they didn't rename it Sea of Friends.
No,
they should have done that, shouldn't they? Called it Sea of Friends, the Jack Sparrow experience.
So I am excited about it. I do still think it's weird because in the showcase they're like, they point out, obviously Pirates of the Caribbean, before it was a series of films, it was also a ride. They're like, oh yeah, we've like taken loads of inspiration from the ride, probably more than the films. Like, it's got characters from the films, but there's also loads of little set pieces and stuff from the ride, which to me is, I mean, that seems really odd to me. But
and
then
you've got to be at least 5'2" to play it.
I'm looking forward to Sea of Thieves Professor Burp's Bubble Works coming out next year. That's going to be the one, isn't it? When you see the cow. When you see the cow and the bubbles going around it, mate.
All over that.
All over it.
So overall you thought it was a good E3, not an incredible E3?
Not really. No, it was... I mean, it didn't feel like an E3. It felt like a bunch of presentations, which is what it was, I guess. But it felt like a bunch of those sort of, March or September presentations that they put out stuck in with an E3 brand over the top. Do you know what I mean? Like the E3 ones, it should be... You should remember one year Sony come out and went, yeah, Shenmue, Final Fantasy Remake, all this sort of stuff. And it was like...
everyone kicked off. It was
like, fucking hell. So there was nothing like that, which was a bit of a shame. Even the last E3, we had Keanu Reeves coming out. I know why, it was for Cyberpunk. Things didn't work out. They went wrong. But at least you had those moments, whereas like this, it didn't have those moments, did it? It didn't have any moments, really.
No,
not really.
I think I think they're in a holding pattern because of COVID and everything being kind of delayed and all over the place. Maybe, hopefully next year, maybe the year after that will be a bit more as we've expected. But I assume, David, you didn't watch all of them. I assume you didn't watch Koch Media. I assume you didn't watch Capcom's
I did not. No, I didn't watch any of that.
That was the other theme from it as well, was the fact
that
there was a lot of conferences, there shouldn't have been conferences. There was like no point in having these at all.
That's a lie. that's a lie, Matt, actually, because I watched like the last 3 minutes of all of those conferences just to watch what you said. Like there was one, was it the Bandai Namco one or the Capcom one? You were at the end, you just went, did she just say that's the end? She did, yeah. So now we're doing esports. Yeah, they're doing esports. But no new announcements. Yeah. No. I was pissing myself watching that. It's like, okay. Right. Okay, so that's not what the feedback's been about. And we'll get to that. So should we just let's do the
David,
feedback?
You didn't tell us what you thought about the podcast series, but we'll cover that in feedback.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I was going to move on to that, but I think we should do the feedback first before I go through that stuff.
Okay,
let's do it.
We've got a list of feedback here. We've got Pro Dave and Anti Dave. So which one do you want first, Dave?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Pro Dave are taking the piss, but let's get the Pro Dave out of the way and then get to the Anti Dave.
Okay, huge hard on. Oh, we got him.
No, it's another French one, Matt. It's huge hardon.
Huge hardon. Huge hardon. Okay. I have some comments on the recent David Turner's daily podcast series. These attacks on David's character over the past few days smack of a classic Matt Murray power play. While the cat is away, the mouse thinks he can play. It's pathetic. Don't know what you're talking about, mate.
I think there's something in that. I think there might be something in that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wasn't my idea. Okay, it was my idea, but let's move on. Horseradish batter scoop. If I ever get caught on those 3 Muppets, I won't be approaching with legal representation. Well, that's harsh because we're not even trained lawyers. Yeah. Not that you'd know.
I mean, if you did approach us for legal representation, we'd be like, I'm sorry, I think you've got the wrong guys here. This isn't. It's not what we do.
Yeah, we're 3 idiots. What are you? Why are you calling us horseradish? We can't defend you in the murder case. The investigator. I have to agree with David in that you 3 would be shit in a courtroom. He successfully spun what was essentially an accusation of negligence into something bigger and easier to dismiss. Questions like, do you think I'm lying? Do you believe I saw E3 news? Should be as relevant as asking, do you believe my unsafe work environment actually killed someone? Oh, what's that, Judge? It didn't. Oh, well, then case dismissed, Judge.
See, it's such a mad argument. Like just saying, okay, you go into a court case and then it's a murder trial, and you're like, you turn it into a burglary one somehow. It's like just by arguing, it doesn't work like that. It's just
that's
mad.
not what you said.
No, it's the other way, isn't it? He's saying So if you're getting done for murder, so if you're getting done for like beating someone up, then going but he's not dead. Didn't kill him. Did I kill him? Did I kill him? No. So.
Well, for me, it was more like you've gone there, you turned up to court, and you've gone, here's the defendant, yeah? Right, here's all this evidence against the defendant. So, are you accusing the defendant? No, you're the actual police. That's what it is. You haven't even made it to court. I've got all this evidence. So, did he do it? It's not for me to say. Yes, it is, but you've brought me all the evidence. Did he do it? I'm not going to say he did.
I'm not going
to say he did.
It's a different type of evidence. We couldn't prove you'd seen something. We can only prove you'd broken the rules. And
you couldn't. No, well, you couldn't prove that either, if you remember correctly. You couldn't
the only thing we could prove was that you'd acted in an incredibly risky manner during the whole time. That was it.
Okay. Yeah. But you couldn't prove that either because I had an answer for 90%. We'll get
but just having an answer doesn't mean that it's not risky, Dave. It doesn't work.
Yeah, but that's no.
Yeah, one of the answers is yes. I went on YouTube.
But I didn't see anything, so it's fine.
Right, okay, well, let's save this. Let's go through the feedback because we need to get to this. Okay, go on.
Also, the investigator continues, I have to give credit for not answering his leading questions, but don't let him reframe your arguments. The absence of adverse incidents does not excuse negligence. Having said that, you're crazy. It's just video games. Pete Haynes, I have to say, I've got Dave's back regarding the E3 thing. Yes, he went online, but he avoided all announcements and no harm done. He's clearly a man of character who can avoid temptation and show true strength by not falling prey to the temptation of E3. Just because the rest 100%. Of you can't trust yourselves to go online and spoil things doesn't mean Dave should be held to the same low standards. Don't worry, Dave, I've got your back, even if your so-called teammates don't.
Cheers. I appreciate y'all.
Ooh, P. Haynes. Ooh. Pathetic.
Bit rude, Matt.
Let's get on to the anti-Dave section. Tony Teapot. Like most people who listen to TCGS and Joypod before it, I would describe myself as a David Turner fan. He combines humour with a genuine love of video games and has deserved the title of main one. I've excused...
Okay, next email.
No, I've excused and walked past when he has been a bit chippy with the other hosts, because I know underneath his underlying respect for the TCGS team, and this bit's in caps, I'm not a fan anymore. His blatant disregard for the tradition of the E3 show have made a mockery of the show and the rest of the team. His feeble excuses were shown up to be a tissue of lies, and under cross-examination, his defence was weak and ill-founded. Like most of us, I asked myself, what would have happened if James had been on Xbox Live? All hell would have broken loose, an absolute disgrace. I hope he has the time to reflect on his wrongdoing and issues a heartfelt apology to the listeners and, more importantly, to James, Matt and Sean.
Yeah,
no, he doesn't want
that. Probably just continue,
Matt.
Probably,
move on.
Mike Oxlong. Michael. Dave, you did the louds wrong. Biggest E3 cheater yet. Billy Dishcloth. Piss poor from David. As punishment, maybe we should let the other guys finish a sentence without butting in. Capone Adam. Quote from RobJS on Discord. Dave's defence is the equivalent of a man driving down an ice-covered motorway in thick fog at 70 miles an hour and not crashing due to sheer luck, then claiming there's nothing wrong with how he drove because he didn't hit anything and didn't break the speed limit. Would Dave agree with this analogy? If not, how would he reword it to be more accurate?
No, I agree with that exactly. I agree with that exactly. I landed on all four wheels and said, what were we all worried about?
Yeah, definitely dead. Nick Hanan. David got mad because the gang held him to the same standard he held James to. Good leaders hold themselves to the highest standard of the group. Props to the gang for doing it. Darren?
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
What leader do you know leads to go? No, they don't. What a load of nonsense. You've believed all the rubbish.
No, they all do that.
No leader holds them to the same standards as their staff.
A little man called Steve Jobs.
When Iwata took a massive pay cut instead of firing a load of people.
Yeah.
Was it though? Was it? Or was it a bit of a PR? Hey, come on, think about it, Sean.
I'm pretty sure it's true.
Yeah. So if what I'm hearing is correct, Sean, you think Dave should take a massive pay cut on the Patreon money?
That's the point. Yeah.
No, you know what? That's a noble gesture, David. And
I think, hold on. Did you not?
Yeah, it's very good.
Did you not just work out that you said that and I didn't, Matt? Because you actually said that. I think
we all heard Dave say it. I think that's
I didn't say.
I mean, if you want me to go on a rant about how you wouldn't be earning any money if it wasn't for me anyway, then I can do.
Dave, we started the Patreon when you were off the show.
Yeah, but the show was already rolling by then, and who started it? Who pushed that tiny little snowball, Sean, down the hill?
We all did as a team, Dave.
You jumped on it. Just went,
probably not time to do it, David. There's a lot of negative feedback here.
Can I go on the snowball? Can I go on the snowball? Yes, you can go on the snowball. Oh, it's my snowball now. Well, it's not. Now we can move on.
Keep going.
Sorry, God.
Darren says Turnus is a guilty man. Too confrontational to be innocent. He needs to make it up to the group. Dave Unt. Turner disgusts me. This year is null and void. His turn is next year as well. Simon Marshall. Hi, folks. I just want to say thanks for all you do. This podcast, the streams, and everything else are great. On to telling Turners too. As much as I believe David didn't see any E3 news, I think if the shoe were on the other foot, the other three co-hosts would be ripped to shreds. The lengths which Sean, Matt, and James went to ensure there was no accidental news appearing on their phones or PCs. David saying he didn't do anything wrong as he didn't see any E3 news brings the annual tradition into a game of chance. Going on YouTube, which serves as a whole host of spoiler-filled thumbnails, even when signed out, not uninstalling Discord or console apps, where messages new games could have appeared on his screen, or claiming that no spoilers would appear on his PS5 because Xbox announcements wouldn't be there, are utter nonsense. David can shrug this off all he wants, but the fact is that he took chances, unfortunately, avoided E3 news. An apology should be issued from David to the other three co-hosts and the loyal listeners, as I'm in no doubt the main one would be demanding one were the roles reversed. Appreciate y'all, from Simon.
Can I say something, right? Because I've seen that a lot. People will be going, if it was the other way around, David, you'd be all over this. And I thought, yeah, I mean, it has been the other way around. So let's take James, for example, when he did, when he had a couple of things wrong with his internet use during E3.
I went on Reddit, yeah.
I went back and listened to that.
So did I.
And it was about 10 minutes long, and it was over. So far, I've had 30 minutes of being had a go at, plus 4 podcasts that were done without me even being there.
The reason for that is because I know, but that's because you like when we went through this whole thing last week, you would not admit that you'd done anything wrong at all. Like you would not.
You didn't admit that you did anything wrong either.
I absolutely did. I said, yeah, I went on Reddit. I said I went on. Do you want me to play it to you now? Because I've got it saved here. Like recorded.
You can do. You said you went on Reddit, but you didn't say, "Oh, that was bad that I went on Reddit." You went, "I was only doing the politics bit."
Yeah, no, exactly. I did exactly the same as you did. So why is it not okay for me to do that, but it is okay for you to do it? You did it for ages because you just kept insisting.
Plus, to be fair, James only had one infraction, whereas you had potentially loads.
Yeah, actually, he didn't, because I went back and listened to it, and James would also notice that he did a lot more wrong than just that one infraction.
I did Reddit, and I saw that thing by accident when I was coming home from the airport. That was 2 things that I did wrong.
And you were still on your emails, reading all your emails?
I wasn't. That was
if it had Nintendo on it, I'd delete it.
Yeah, because I told you at the time I couldn't just delete my emails because that's how my work stuff comes through. How can I do that?
Yeah, it's how my work stuff comes through, but I deleted my emails for a week.
Don't start trying to turn this round on me, because this is ridiculous. We've already been through this, and we've already gone over it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But we
do you know
what,
Dave? Do you know, after last week, do you know what you really reminded me of? I just thought, 606, you are Robbie Savage, like the way you argue. It's insane.
All right. Okay, listen, you went, no one cares about your little analogy. We went through yours for about 10 minutes. Mine was half an hour plus several podcasts. What I'm saying here is that I have taken abuse over this. So it's not like, whoa, yeah, you would have slaughtered someone. Yeah, I'm getting slaughtered for it. Do you not realise I've been slaughtered more than any of you lot for doing this stuff?
But you were the one doing the slaughtering previously, and now that we're picking you up on it, you're like having a go at us.
How have I had a go at you?
The bit where you said it was your show and you make up the rules, so who cares?
Well, that is the truth, though. But right, okay. So are we done with the feedback, Matt? Because
there's loads of other non-you feedback. But...
Right, okay, yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, right. So here's what happened last week, right? And let me be straight up with you guys. I had absolutely no idea that was coming at the start of the show. Genuinely no idea. I had no idea about the podcasts, right? I had no idea that I'd been appearing online in places, because I think my biggest problem, and genuinely I think my biggest problem, is that I was totally naive to things. I was just completely naive. When I went into this, I thought, this will be easy, avoid an E3, I'll be fine. I'll delete a couple of apps, I'll be fine. I'm not doing the whole show thing that you guys did. I'm not going to completely delete everything. There's no need, because I'm not going to read. I'm not tempted to read any of it. I really want to go into this show not knowing anything. I don't want to do anything. I was completely stupid in thinking, if I could go back and do it again, of course I would close, because the only legitimate risky thing that I did, genuinely the only legitimate risky thing that I did, was go onto YouTube. And in my head I was thinking, sign out, there's going to be no recommendations based on my previous searches, and there wasn't, to be fair, but it was still risky, right? I totally agree with you guys there. With things like so for example, the Twitter stuff, that was, I don't know what happened. I don't know if Joe worded it incorrectly, because after the show I went in there and said, Joe, did you tell them that I was going on your Twitter account? And she went, no, I told them that I showed you a tweet. Now, I don't believe she said that, because you wouldn't have reacted the way you did. Yeah. But she probably said, oh, well, David looked at my Twitter, or something like that. And then the way you heard that, which is the way I would have heard that, and thought that I was going on her Twitter, but she literally just showed me a tweet, and I was like, okay, well, you got me in shit.
It wasn't about us hearing it. We just read the tweet verbatim.
So what did she actually say on the tweet?
I'll scroll down, but Dave, what about going on Walmart? What about going on the Xbox app?
Well, that's exactly it. That's what I'm saying. So Rollmuck was legitimately must have been on a tab on Safari that was minimised on my laptop.
Can I just say though? But you also said because one of your defences with that was you said about how I went on the Reddit, politics thing, and you said that the COVID thread was important to you on Rollmuck.
It really was, yeah.
So had you actually been on Rollmuck to look at the COVID thread then?
On my life, I had not been on Rollmuck. And what happened a couple of times early on, say on Friday morning or whatever, I saw my natural thing that I do is I look at the numbers when they come in at 4 o'clock on the government website, and then I go on Rollmuck and read the reaction to it, right? So I read the numbers, opened up my favourites, clicked on Rollmuck and went, fuck, I can't even go on this forum now, and then deleted the 2 favourites on my phone. But obviously I assume I had, on Safari, I must have had a tab open, so every time the laptop was opened, it pinged that I was online. Like, that is legitimate. Whether you believe me or not is up to you, but that is what happened. And I think I was just so naive. Like, if I would go back and do it again, I would go close Safari, close Discord, close this, close that, delete all of the apps that connect to anything online. Like, not anything, because you do, obviously, we can't have a rule saying that you can't be online because everyone needs to be online. Like, there's no way that you can just not be online for a week. It doesn't work like that. Unless you think that's possible, James. You think that's possible?
No, I never said it was.
No, I know. I'm just asking, like, whether you think, yeah. But genuinely, the only dodgy thing that I did was go on YouTube, and I look at that and I just think, yeah, it probably was risky actually, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. But the other stuff is legitimate, just like me being completely naive to how much of your life is pinged to say that you're online, like even when you're not. So like with the Xbox app, I probably just clicked that app and then closed it straight away, thinking, oh, I don't want to see anything. But once you've opened it, it's pinged that you were online.
Yeah.
So
I think
because it's the first thing the app does.
And it's just fascinating as well that, like, if we this will probably, I don't know if this is going to sound like it makes any sense, but if we hadn't heard about the first few, we never would have seen the rest.
Into the others,
yeah. It's because we then started looking that it.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing was that because I'd started the show and I was like, here comes E3, and all of a sudden all this shit is going on. Yeah, we did a podcast about you and you've been on this. I was like, whoa, what? And of course there was part of me like just fucking around because that was when your back's up against the wall, you say anything to just like try and push back. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I mean, I think if I went back, I would have done things a little bit differently. But I can assure you, I swear to you, I didn't know any of this was going on, like that you were tracking me or that the podcasts were coming out. B, anything that was announced at E3, I didn't have a fucking clue. So that was really cool. And I will say this though. There's a lot of people that went nuts at me, and that's totally cool. All the feedback we've had has been brilliant. Like, it's been crazy, not only on Twitter, not only on through the contact form and all that. It's all been great, right? I've loved reading it all. But I will say this, and I maintain this: I did not break the rules. I didn't break the rules. So, come on.
You broke the spirit of the rules.
Here's
a DM that Joe sent me, and I just caught him on my Twitter page, and his sister showed him the Instagram of the David Turner Daily.
Right, so I told you about it's her showing her the Instagram, Daily Turner Daily thing. Yeah. I caught him on my Twitter page. Sounds fucked up. She literally handed me the phone and showed me her tweet. So she is. I don't know why she said that, and I literally asked her. I said, "Why did you say you caught me?" And she went, I can't remember. And I went, what do you mean you can't remember? And I said, well, you looked at that tweet, the Richard I. And I said, you showed it to me, Joe. She went, oh, it was probably that then. And I went, well, brilliant. Now everyone thinks that I'm on your Twitter page. But yeah,
we should also say,
I will tell you this: if the shoe was on the other foot, and I'll tell you this to the listeners, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would have reacted exactly the same way. So, do you know what I mean? There's no doubt about that.
So, Dave, are you going to apologise to us?
Absolutely not. I've got nothing to apologise for. Don't be fucking daft. I'm not apologising. Don't be an idiot. What would I apologise for, James?
I don't know, for putting yourself at risk, like throughout the whole thing, and potentially ruining the show.
being a bad sport.
I put myself at risk on YouTube. That is it. And I was comfortable with the risk that I was taking. So no, I'm not apologising for that. Anything else you want me to apologise for?
Not the Xbox app either. We don't know what that was about still.
No, because I told you it was. I
muscle memory.
And closed it straight away. Go on. Okay. Next.
What do you mean next?
Well, what do you want me to apologise for? If there's something that I feel that I need to apologise for, I'll apologise for it. I don't need to apologise for anything.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
It was interesting. The other thing we should point out as well is that because we weren't sure if we should bring it up on the show, right? We weren't sure if it was funny, similar to the 3 Lies. Would it be funnier to just sort of let you discover it and then sort of talk about it this week? But like we were so convinced that you knew about it because we knew your sister had been showing it. Your sister showed it you on Instagram.
No, I had no idea.
And then because it felt like you were popping up in more places. I mean, you probably heard it on the show, right? So much of the feedback we had was like he's doing it on purpose. He's winding you up. He knows he's. So that's why I thought we'll just talk about it.
I promise you, I had no idea about the podcast. Whatever, and I listened back to them, and even then, right, even when I was like in the heat of the moment, because I listened back to it the next morning, and I was still pretty pissed off about everything, right? And
you were pissed off, were you, David? We were pissed off because you broke all the fucking rules. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I didn't. So I didn't break any rules. They run on rules. There's one rule and I didn't break it. What pissed me off the next morning is I listened to it and Matt was like, Wednesday, you were on the... what was it? Your Xbox was online on Wednesday or Thursday. It was online on Thursday. That's out of order. And then I listened to the podcast and it was like, hey guys, it's Saturday, the first day of E3. And I was like, oh, fuck off, Matt. Fuck off.
The first official day of E3.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly then. So,
because Summer Game Fest already happened on Thursday. And you were like, oh,
yeah, but apparently it wasn't part of E3, was it? So still weren't breaking the rules.
Fucking hell.
Listen, where do we go from here?
Well, that's trouble, the question. Frankly. I don't know. What next year, like, people have done matter because, oh, sorry, I accidentally fell into the app. Do you not think it kind of...
Okay, so we need to firm it up. So what we need to do is we need to come up with like a solid set of rules and forfeits if you break them. Then, right?
That'd probably be better, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Because James, it's your year next year, isn't it?
Yeah, because the thing is with this whole thing,
we're gonna have fun making these rules, aren't we, boys?
I know they're going to be great, but because the thing is with this, as we had on the show last week, you can't prove like 100% whether somebody has seen stuff or not. Like, it's your word against theirs. There's no way you can prove it. But this other stuff of whether you put yourself at risk, I think we could have maybe forfeits to do with that. I think that's possible.
Okay, maybe we'll look at that then for next year.
You're not doing it. You're not doing it again next year, then, Dave, as what the listener said. You know, with the idea that because you messed up this year, you should do it.
If I break the rules, I would do it next year.
There are no rules to break. There's no rules to break.
Oh, then I'm not doing it next year, am I, James?
The spirit of the competition.
No, you made the spirit when James and I did it, right? There was none of this. Oh, the spirit though. What about the spirit? It was when you went nuts with it on your turn, Matt, that the spirit came about. Unfortunately, Sean came after you, so he respected the spirit. I didn't respect the spirit. Okay, I didn't recognise the spirit. Matt had the spirit based on his mind. Do you know what I mean? I
know what I mean.
Listen. I ain't doing it next year, James. That's ridiculous because I didn't break any rules. So,
do you know what's going to be really interesting is when if we keep doing this to the point that like, surely Harry's going to get to the age where he's like, well, fuck off, Dad. I want to watch the Nintendo stuff. Like, I don't give a shit if you're like supposed to be avoiding it or not.
I still avoid it, mate. I've 2 years. I've done this for 2 years and I haven't been spoiled like one tiny bit of E3. I know I'm happy with it. I'm good. I'm confident that I can do it. And when there are legitimate rules in place, I know I can follow them. I'll be all right with that. It's just, if you want to do this wishy-washy stuff and then try and punish me for not breaking rules, like that is... What sort of society are you trying to create here, James? What sort of society?
That's the thing. We're not even trying to punish you, Dave. We're absolutely not trying to punish you. We were just trying to draw attention. No, we were just trying to draw attention.
You just asked me to miss next year.
No, I said maybe you could. I didn't say you should. I said maybe you could.
You're not trying to punish me. Maybe you could miss next year.
Yeah.
Fuck off, James.
He's just asking you if you would consider going to jail, David.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right, okay. Have I broken any laws, officer? No, but would you like to go to jail?
So, well,
then no.
Technically, there were no laws at the time, but we are going to write
broken
some.
The spirit of the law.
And we imagine the rules we're going to write, you will have been retroactively in breach of.
Yeah.
Therefore, will you voluntarily...
You're starting to realise how silly that sounds.
Oh, no, I don't know it was when I started.
Good. Okay. Well, listen, all I'll say is that listeners, there will be strict rules in place for next year. They will be enforced. They will be heavy. I think maybe we should put a few days after E3 and a few days before E3 to have sort of a clearance zone to maybe like properly enforce them. James will stick to them next year because he's been very, strong on his opinions this year. So we'll all look forward to next year's E3 show. Great, guys. James, you're looking forward to it, mate. I'll be strong on them
in the same way that you were strong on them this year after what happened to me.
Yeah, but James, it's going to be a different ball game next year, mate. these rules that we're going to write up.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All the shit you've given me, all the shit you've given me on 4 podcasts that I weren't on, plus the half an hour of the podcast that I was on. Oh, it's going to bite you in the arse. I can't wait for E3 next year.
Looking forward to it, Dave. It was worth every podcast. We'll
see this time next year if you still think it's worth it.
We should book ourselves a little trip to... James, you probably don't want me to say where you're going to be living next year, do you?
No, not particularly.
We'll book ourselves a little holiday, do some surveillance.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We've definitely got some correspondence over there to spy on him.
I think sending listeners after him is a bit weird. Go on.
No, all right. That's what I thought. I thought, oh no, that's a bit weird. PA? A PI? Sorry, not a PA. Not someone following him around asking if he wants coffee.
We're going to need the PA.
If you're doing that, I'm not paying for it out of my share of the Patreon, I can tell you that.
Well, what if they find evidence of wrongdoing?
But I will say this as well: the way you handled that and the bonus shows, like the Turner Dailies, were brilliant. When I listened back to them, I was very happy with the reactions. And also, if a certain Mr. Ian Lee is listening, we've had little discussions privately and publicly about whether we are friends or not. And after you went on your show and said, "Oh, he's been in my Twitch channel," That I think we know the answer to that question now. I mean, we were both curious. I think that curiosity has gone now. Enemy of the show, I believe I should refer to him as. Okay, cool. And again, thanks for all your feedback. It's been a lot of fun to read.
I should say, if
I'm
you
only
sent
saying
in...
that because I know it piss a lot of people off that I thought their abuse was entertaining.
I was going to say, if you're listening to this and going, "Oh, there was more pro Dave stuff," I sent some more stuff supporting Dave. Yeah, obviously there was so much of it where I had to, get rid of a load of it. But I've kept.
And I will confirm.
Go on.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say I've kept the ratio the same of positive to negative stuff. So.
Look. I think you're being kind there. Yeah. I don't think you did. I think the ratio was far more negative than this little segment was. But yeah, no, thanks for getting in touch, and I can't wait for E3 next year. You all right, James?
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Gonna have it. No, you're not. Trust me. Trust me. That's going to be a bonus show coming up with these rules. Oh, can't wait. Can't wait. Should we get on to the news? Has anyone got anyone? And I don't want to silence anyone. Does anyone got anything else to say?
I was just going to say there's some other feedback and it's quite nice. I think it's worth just quickly going through.
We're an hour and 10, but we'll keep going.
It's a weird show. This was always going to be a weird show. It's fine.
That's a very good point. Mike Rowe. Oh, no, actually, no, sorry. We're going to start with Lindy. Sorry. Thank you to Sean, James, and Matt for completely disrupting their lives and providing us with all such extensive E3 coverage. The daily pod, including a little roundup of the day's events, was great. After everything we've been through collectively and individually over the last year, it was nice to come together to celebrate our common interest. 5 stars, would watch Coke Media again. That's a lie, but 5 stars nonetheless.
That was incredible, though. The amount of work you put in during that week was nuts. You know me, I wouldn't have done it.
It was really weird. I was saying to Matt and James when it was all sort of done and dusted. So basically, over the last fortnight, I've been having a fucking nightmare at work. And it was kind of like, on the one hand, I could really do without all this E3 stuff, but also I think it's probably the only thing that kept me sane. So it was really good.
Yeah, it's funny how this show works, isn't it? Yeah. Seriously, we sit down really pissed off. I'm fuming. I've had a horrific weekend. Mm-hmm. I don't own my lovely dream MacBook that I've been using for the past 10 months anymore because it is now completely fried, and I'm going to have to pay a lot of money to get it back. But I sat down here fuming, and even after the row we've just had, I'm way happier than I was before I sat down. It's nuts how this show works like that.
Okay, next, Microwave. The Krypton Factor Talks Over episode was amazing stuff, particularly the now infamous moment where the long-forgotten comedian Andrew O'Connor may or may not have called a woman a cunt. I was in total mistakes for 5 minutes and I have no idea how I would have survived had I been on TCGS crew during that recording. Yeah, we talked over an old Krypton Factor for the month before last TCGS Talks Over Patreon, and there's a moment where it sounded like someone was called the C word. Turns out it wasn't in the end, but that didn't stop us laughing for about 7.5 minutes.
Go back and watch that. If you've not watched one of our talks overs before, watch the Krypton Factor one. There's 2 episodes of Krypton Factor on it, so stick with it. But I think it's pretty funny throughout. And a lot of people have been suggesting new game shows that we should sit down and watch, so that might have to happen.
It was horrendous. I thought I was going to die because I've just laughed, because I couldn't breathe. Yeah. Couldn't breathe.
Yeah, I had to walk out of the room for a bit because I thought I was in trouble. Yeah, incredible. They
continue. I thought you'd like to know that presenter Gordon Burns' brother, Mr. Burns, was my German teacher at secondary school. He was a permanently angry, chain-smoking individual who looked well shabby in a cheap brown suit, and he would never allow us to mention his brother in any way under threat of detention. My friends and I assume this was due to massive jealousy. He took great joy in shouting at kids whenever they did the smallest thing wrong, doubtless taking advantage of any small pleasure he could muster, while inwardly raging that he wasn't a mainstay of ITV's primetime entertainment schedule in the 80s and 90s. Anyway, I ended up getting a Krypton Factor of B for German, an appropriately adequate yet underwhelming result. Thanks, Mr. Burns.
That's like, yeah, okay. That's like there's a lot of issues going on there.
We'll have a whole... We need another hour to unpack that. Kurt Lewin, a couple of episodes ago, Dave was astonished at the prospect of bacon, eggs and mayonnaise. Like it was some crazy concoction from the depths of hell, when that exact same filling can be commonly found in supermarket meal deal sandwiches.
I'll tell you that, I've never liked egg sandwiches from the supermarket though. I don't know why. I quite like egg, but the thought of egg being sitting there in a little packet for ages, just it's one of those things, it makes me kind of go, so that probably explains that.
Ray Tracing. In the last episode, you said my name about 48 times. You do not have permission to do this, so I'm suing you. My lawyers, Celia Fate and an attorney will be serving your papers soon. Regards, Ray Tracing. Love the show.
That took Matt a little while for that to click. Yeah.
I listened with my best mate, who I used to work with. Used to work for my ex-boss Juan. Never get it. Bitter Toad. All right, lads, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your awesome coverage at E3. It's lovely to watch the conferences with like-minded nerds when my real-life mates decide that Coke Media is a step too far.
Fair.
And when we're moving Biscuit, what an amazing TCGS E3 show this year. The dawning realisation that I had watched a Nintendo conference and discovered the lies put this hands down the best episode of the show. No pressure next year, lads. Thank you, Mim Biscuit.
Yeah, that thought was crossed my mind a little bit. Well, where the fuck do we go next? Hey, started off with, this game was announced. This game existed. No, this game was announced. Here's a trailer. This game existed. This whole section of the E3 is bullshit. Where do we go? Do we say next year? Oh, James, there was no E3 in the end. There was no E3. They cancelled it all.
I don't really know what I'm going to do this episode. What have you been playing? I mean, do we? I don't know. Do we just accept that the lie thing has run its course and think of something else funny to do?
No.
Do you reckon? I don't see what else we can.
seeing as it's me next, probably don't talk about it now. Because
exactly.
Maybe this is all part of it, James. Maybe this is all part of it.
I've got a couple of ideas, actually. I've genuinely got an idea that is too wild. No, it's not wild, but I'll talk to you later.
Let's get planning now. Right, that is it for feedback. Finally, if you want to leave us feedback or a message anytime, go to tcgs.co/dear-tcgs.
Okay, well, let's get on to news then. James Farley.
So, EA are now letting people see what's inside FIFA loot boxes before you buy them. So there's like a preview thing. It's for this is for Ultimate Team preview packs, so it lets you see all the specific items contained within it before you decide whether to buy it with like coins or FIFA points or whatever.
Yeah, but is that any different? Like, because, so the way Rocket League does it now. They used to do it where you got a loot box. It showed you like 20 items that could be in that loot box. You bought the loot box, you opened it, and 9 times out of 10, well, probably more than that, the item wasn't in there, right? So with this one,
you see what's actually in it.
Is that the same as that?
No, you see what's actually in it. Like,
right, okay, so that's what Rocket League's done now. Rocket League has changed loot boxes to blueprints where it's like, yeah, here's what you'll get if you pay money.
Yeah.
Like, and this is actually what you get. There's no random chance this is what you'll get. Is that what?
It's exactly what they've done with this as well. Like, exactly the same. I mean, this is...
They must have hated that decision because that removes the whole thing for them, doesn't it?
But then that's why they've done it, isn't it? Because obviously, like in the UK, the government has been investigating the idea of whether loot boxes in games are gambling or not, or whether they need to be regulated.
They are.
I think this is the way to try and prevent that, because then EA can legitimately now say, well, it's not gambling because people know what they're buying. There's no element of chance or anything to this at all. Everyone knows what they're getting. So this is obviously why they've done this. I mean,
which is right. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, you're no longer unlocking a random item or paying for a random item. You're paying for the chance to get. Well, you're paying for the item now, aren't you?
You're basically
paying for
the
that
item,
player.
Yeah. And then if you like get a pack and then you preview it and then you think, okay, I don't want this, then you can just leave it and ignore it, and then it will sit there though for a certain amount of time before it's then refreshed with another one. So you still have to wait. Like if you're not happy with.
But do you get to see what is in the pack before you buy it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right.
Okay. So you see it before you even buy it. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's how it's done.
So why would you buy it and then just leave it in your?
No. It's what I mean is if you see what's in it and then you think I don't want that, like I don't want to buy that, then what happens is the pack is then still there, like on the server or whatever, for a certain amount of time before it's refreshed for like a different.
Oh right,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Right, so you're saying like time limited stores? Games have been doing that for a while, and the store refreshes every 6 hours or whatever.
So you can't just keep going. No, not that one. Give me another one. No, not that one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then also, if you want to though, you can think, actually, maybe I'll change my mind. You can go back and you can still get it. It's like that's kind of how it's working.
Okay. Well, that's a better way of doing it, even though it I think there is part of me that just thinks actually random chance in games is quite fun. I think that it crosses the line where it's asking for money for that random chance. That's where it crosses the line for me.
Yeah.
So if you buy a game, you shouldn't then have to pay money for a random chance of an item. So I think what they're doing is the right thing to do. I just know for a fact that they've hated doing that.
I mean, they're doing it to get ahead of the fact of like possible gambling legislation because, I mean, the government's being advised by universities that have been studying this. So researchers at Plymouth and Wolverhampton have like done a lot of research on this, and they found that loot boxes are structurally and psychologically akin to gambling. And
rightly so, yeah.
And they also found that large numbers of children were opening loot boxes as well. So this is to get ahead of this, isn't it? It's a preemptive move.
Shit, man.
But,
Speaking along similar lines, Harry came up to me today and asked me to put money into a free-to-play game for the first time.
Which one?
That was an experience. Mario Kart Tour. And the way he asked me, I was almost proud of him. He said, "Oh, Dad, look at this. I've been reading this, and I can get unlimited races. I can get these characters. I can get this. I can get that. It looks so cool. And look, the only thing I don't understand is I don't understand that bit at the bottom. And he handed me the phone and it said, 2-week trial and then £5 a month after that. And I just went, Harry, how did you read all of this, but you don't understand the bottom bit? I just don't understand it. Yeah, no, it says free, right? So can we get that? And I said, look, mate, that is a real interesting way of trying to get me to do that. And I'm proud of you for that. But at the same time, no. I'm not piling money into a free-to-play mobile game. I don't care how many Bowsers are in it.
See, I've already lectured my kids on free-to-play games, and they don't even.
I believe it. I believe there was a seminar.
They're just.
I believe there was a TED talk.
It was mostly we don't do that shit in this house, you know. And,
yeah, so that was funny, and also I had an email on my phone today saying Harry's trying to buy Lego. Super Speedway for Forza. Are you alright with that? No, I just went up to him and I just went, you know we've got Lego Super Speedway? And he said, yeah, but for some reason it wasn't working. So I don't know why, but it wasn't working. So, and I went, but you must have clicked on the button to buy it for me to get that email. I said, don't do that. And he was like, what? And I said, it emails me when you're trying to buy stuff. So I know when you're trying to buy stuff. Don't do it. And he was like, okay. So he knows now. And then he was like, I come home from work today and he was like, did you get an email about how I won the race? And I was like, no, I didn't get an email on that. Like, it's not, I'm not tracking everything you're doing. That would be nuts.
Maybe you're supposed to say, yes, I did.
yeah. Also, you went to sleep at 7:41 and you slept for... No, that's weird. Yeah, but I just thought that was a real little sneaky way of trying to get me to spend money on it. Good. It's good that things are changing like that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's good that things are changing.
It is good, yeah. Okay, next, the PS5 VR headset is expected for holidays 2022. That's the thing. This is from Bloomberg. And it says, according to their report, it says, people with knowledge of the matter, as in no named sources at all, have said that they're going to be using OLED panels from Samsung for the headset. And they also, obviously, it's the PlayStation SVP of Platform Planning and Management, Hideki Nishino, has said that the headset is going to improve on resolution and field of view tracking and input. But there's still no release date or anything at all yet. It's still looking like it's going to be there.
I mean, this is kind of in line with what we were hearing from before the initial announcements of the new controllers and the new headset and stuff. So, I don't think this is very surprising. In fact, actually, I'll probably be surprised if it does come out at the end of next year and not a little bit later, because as we all know, things are not great at the moment around the world. Even with some positive news coming through, it's still going to have a knock-on effect. But we'll see. We'll see if they do. Do they do E3 next year?
Probably not. I think they're done with E3. I don't think we're going to see it.
I think they are as well. Yeah. How much does that suck?
Massively.
It really does suck.
It wouldn't suck so much if they did say they were still going to do something else, like later. Like if there was something coming, like early June, early July rather. I'd be like, yeah, okay, it's fine. Just wait.
I wish they would come together and say, all right, they don't need E3 anymore. Right, we all know that, and we all agree with that. But if they just came together and said, you know what, let's do a weekend where we headline like a festival, right? We headline one day after the other. And we just let people run streams on this co-stream thing. Because all it is streams. All you need is a Twitch account to get this to work, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of business deals and all sorts of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But seriously, to know that there's 3 days where you can watch all these different companies' streams announcing all this stuff, and then the headline is Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony. You know what I mean? I love that. Just do that. Yeah, I'm sure it can't be that easy, can it? But that's what I want.
I know. Sony have got to do something quite soon though, because I was thinking about this earlier. It's like after Ratchet and Clank, what is there for the rest of this year? There's nothing, is there? There's nothing.
I don't think there's nothing. There's Bullet, but there's that what's it one, isn't it? The time loop, Bullet Loop,
Death Loop.
What's it called?
Death Loop.
Death Loop.
Yeah.
Bullet Loop.
See that
Deathloop's coming out, so they'll push that.
I've kind of in my own mind, because obviously this doesn't apply to everyone, but I've kind of written that off because I'm just thinking, it's gonna be on Game Pass, like probably next year or whatever.
Yeah, but
I'll probably
next
wait for
year, I'm quite looking forward to that. It does look interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to wait another 12 months for that. That's if it's 6 months, maybe, but I'm not waiting another year.
Mm-hmm.
But you are right. I do kind of think now that, Ratchet and Clank's out of the way, I do kind of think, well, what's that console going to do now for a little bit? You know what I mean?
I mean, I've got
just
loads of stuff I'm still playing, like backlog stuff, but there's nothing new, like exciting to look forward to, which is a shame.
No. Cool. All right, is that it for the news?
That's all I got, yeah. There's not much.
Well, listen, we've got our final piece of E3 stuff to wrap up.
Yeah.
And I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last time we'll be talking about E3 2021. Although that's not true, because I'm sure there'll be feedback on that first portion of the show.
When you say
coming
first
for next
portion,
week's
you
show.
mean the first hour?
Yes, the first hour, Matt. Yes. Right. Here's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through person by person rather than conference, because A, it's easier because that's how I've written it down, and B, I think it's funny to just go through one person's predictions at a time. I'm going to start with Matt because he's at the top of our list. Matt, for Microsoft conference, you had their first game as Forza Horizon 5. There's no point there for Matt. You had their last game as Halo Infinite. There's no point there for Matt. You also said that Microsoft were going to announce the new Battlefield launches on Game Pass Ultimate. That was wishful thinking, I think.
Yeah.
Why would EA... That would be nuts.
It would, but...
You also said that Kojima would be part of the Microsoft show. So close. We all wanted that prediction.
Yeah.
But he was actually part of the
Game Fest.
Jeff Keighley show, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Talking about 9/11 and stuff. Weird.
Yeah.
But you see, if you'd have had
that was
that,
a bit weird. I've not seen that yet.
we never would have been allowed to have that as a prediction. Kojima at the Jeff Keighley thing. It's just
No,
talking
because
about
that's standard. You also said that Microsoft would announce the acquisition of WB Games. So, did they announce any
No,
acquisitions?
no,
not this
they
time.
didn't. No.
No, they didn't.
I mean,
that's
Phil,
probably
when it
the right
came
thing
on
to
right
do.
at the end, and that was just to say, "Hey, here's another game," basically. He came on right at the end, didn't he? So,
For Nintendo, you said, right, you're going to have to help me with this. Your first game was Pokemon Arceus?
we'll call
Yeah,
it that.
Arceus.
And the answer was-
Arceus.
Yeah.
No, the answer is
Well,
no.
that wasn't correct.
New Pokemon.
Last game would be Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh yeah, 1 point.
1 point.
Finally.
You get that because it's not called Breath of the Wild 2 though, is it?
No.
Yeah, but we don't know what it is
They haven't
called.
given us
So
the
I think
name
we,
yet.
yeah, I
Okay,
think
we'll
we
call it
can-
Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
You also said they'd announced Super Mario Odyssey 2. That never happened.
No.
Which annoys me as well because that's my year-long review. But that's why I put it as my year one, really, Matt. That's why I did that, Switch Sports would be announced. That didn't happen.
I was struggling at
And
this
as-
point.
And a Zelda Maker would be announced, and unfortunately that didn't happen either. Your other predictions were exclusive Yakuza game for Xbox. Nope. Elden Ring gameplay. Now, I didn't actually watch it. Was it gameplay?
Yes.
Not really.
You haven't watched the Elden Ring trailer?
No, I haven't. I don't care.
Wow.
I mean, define gameplay because it's none of it's like camera sort of behind the character, like with the hood. It's not.
That's not
yeah,
gameplay,
but
is it?
we saw
Cutscenes to me.
gameplay in that trailer. It was a gameplay trailer.
No, it was the gameplay trailer.
It was stuff happening in engine. but it's
Gameplay
not,
was in the trailer. It wasn't like a CGI or tone piece.
No, if it's in engine, doesn't mean it's gameplay. What I would say, to define gameplay, I would say, do you see anything that you will see while you're playing that game? Playing the game. Not sitting watching it, but actually playing the game.
We don't know.
Well, you do see what looks like gameplay of the game.
It's all, but it's potentially like legitimate gameplay, but it's all sort of cinematically shot and edited, isn't it?
Right. Sean,
Yeah.
James, I'm going to have to listen to you on this one because I didn't see it. So between the two, you got.
I say we let him have it because
yeah.
because I think I wouldn't say it was all cutscenes.
The
but
trailer's
it was
called Elden Ring official gameplay reveal.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I think you can have it.
Yeah. Let him have it.
Okay, nice one, Matt. But you also said Quantum Dreams would announce a new game.
All right, let's move on.
And that didn't happen. James, Microsoft are going to start with Starfield. Absolutely bang on there.
They did.
Well done.
Their last game would be Halo Infinite. That's not correct. No mention of Fable and Perfect Dark. That's a point.
It is.
It is.
Don't know why we let him have that one, really.
Halo Infinite Yeah, that was mad. Halo Infinite multiplayer and battle royale by the end of the year.
Ooh.
That's what's annoying. If I'd have just said Halo Infinite multiplayer, I'd have been fine. But yeah, we
wouldn't have let you have that.
Well, no, because actually, you did specify on that podcast that it would be separate from the campaign. It'd be out at different times. So. Yeah. Indiana Jones game by the end of the year.
New
Machine Games.
That didn't happen.
Nintendo, you said they would start with Pokemon. Brilliant. I'm still struggling with that. Brilliant Diamond.
It's called Pokemon.
So no point for that. Last game, Breath of the Wild 2. Points.
Yeah.
I think we all put that, didn't we? Zelda 3D game collection, including Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
Nope.
No point for that. Animal Crossing update includes a new building. Nope. Metroid Prime 4 CGI trailer.
Nope, didn't get that either.
Under other, you put Ubisoft Vault of Games for Game Pass.
Nope.
No point. Stadia announced big exclusive game on the PC Game Show. Which, did we point this out at the time? That would be Stadia announcing some... You did, didn't you, Sean?
Can't remember. Go on.
It would be weird for Stadia to announce a game, like an exclusive game, on a show that is for PC gaming. And Stadia's whole thing is you don't need a PC.
Well, you say that.
Yeah, but then GeForce Now was all over the PC gaming show as well.
That's where I got that from. Yeah, that's where I got that from. Yeah. Star Wars Squadron 2 trailer. That didn't happen either. So 3 points for James. Sean.
Hello.
First game, Halo Infinite.
No.
Last game, Starfield.
No.
Omen by Arcane revealed.
Yeah, so it's not called Omen, but we did see Arcane's vampire game.
But Sean, you said Omen, therefore no point.
I said it's codenamed Omen.
I'm joking. You didn't get that.
You said it was rumoured Omen. I don't know, man.
Well, no, but that is the game. The one at the end was the one that is codenamed Omen, the vampires and stuff.
So what do we say? Does he get a point?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, it is basically that game.
Okay.
How many points has he already got?
0.
Yeah, you can have that. It's fine.
I think this might be the only one I'm getting as well. So
okay. I'm also going to use that later, Sean. Don't worry. Psychonauts 2 out now.
No,
that didn't happen.
Yeah.
SNX to get Oculus Link support didn't happen.
Oh, so close with that one. I was so sure that was going to...
You said Nintendo would start with Hollow Knight Silksong. That didn't even make the conference at all, did it?
I don't know what the fuck is going on with that game.
Yeah,
it's also
weird,
I pointed out on the show that they'd said it wasn't going to be there as well.
Yeah, I know, but that beforehand. I mean, Nintendo always say we ain't doing that, and then they go and fucking do it anyway. Mm-hmm. You said that the last game would be Breath of the Wild 2.
Right.
So there's a point for Sean. Series of GTA games coming to the Switch. 1, 2, 3, and Vice City. That never happened.
No.
Right, you're going to have to help me with this. Am I getting this right? Ichiban Kazuga coming to Smash?
Yeah, the lead guy from Like a Dragon, but no, that's not happening.
Splatoon 3, March 2022.
No, that didn't even show up.
Yeah,
nope.
Nothing.
But
no, a bit of a weird one.
Yeah.
They're doing a weird thing where they're going, we're bringing this out, and then just not mentioning it for years.
Yeah.
It
really
seems to be a running theme with Nintendo at the moment. Your other predictions were CGI trailer for Fallen Order 2. That never happened. Willman 2 announced. And Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga released by Christmas 2021. That's another weird one, isn't it?
It is. No sign of it at all.
No, it's nuts.
Maybe they're waiting for the next wave of Star Wars films in like another 2 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to hear all this stuff on the 22nd of July, though.
You know. Oh, is that the EA thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it EA? Is EA publishing that game then?
What, Star Wars, is it not?
No, I don't think so.
No, is it not?
Yeah, but it's Lego, isn't it?
It is Lego, but I don't think it's EA. But I mean, Fallen Order 2 would be EA.
It's usually Traveller's Tales, isn't it? Okay, so my predictions were Microsoft first game Psychonauts 2, no. Halo Infinite was their last game, no. Fable new CGI trailer, no. Haptic controller, no. New Banjo-Kazooie, no. Nintendo, I nailed Nintendo for first and last game. First game Smash, yes. Last game Breath of the Wild 2, yes. So there's 2 points. Brought that one home, boys. Brought that one home. But then I did say they would announce new Mario Kart 8 tracks, new Pilot Wings and Bug Snacks. So no points there. Other Mario and Rabbids 2. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you can have
that point.
Yeah.
Conference call sketch, that never happened. Full video to leak online before streamed on E3 feed. Now, the way I've written that down makes it sound like I was saying a full video, which happened by the sounds of it several times, but that's not what I meant, so I'm not even going to attempt to try and claim a point for that. I thought like a full conference would leak online before, but that never happened. Now, are we all happy with how we've given points?
Yeah.
What are you up to,
They're
Dave?
locked in. No, I'll tell you why, right?
Because there's a draw.
Because with the Mario and Rabbids 2 thing, right, I thought there was going to be an argument over that. Because if you remember correctly, a few years ago, one of James' predictions was Halo 5 would be announced, but Halo Infinite was announced, so we said it didn't count.
Halo 6, I think it was, yeah.
That seems
Halo 6, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I know, yeah. But we've locked in. I was going, well, I'm going to say Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't count then because it's not called Breath of the Wild 2. I had a whole argument there, but okay, fine. So here are the results. In joint last place is Matt and Sean with 2 points each. In joint first place was me and James with 3 points each. You know what that means? Penalty shootout, lunchtime, on the gravel. Me versus James. Come on, everyone. Come on, let's have it. Well done, James.
Thank you. Well done, Dave.
Did well, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We never usually get that many points, do we? I think we did really well this year.
No. And right, I don't want to big myself up or anything.
But here we go.
But the new Mario and Rabbids fucking prediction was incredible, in my opinion. Like, that deserves more that is a mental prediction. No one was saying that beforehand. I come out with it. Boom, there it was. Come on, that's the best one, right?
Yeah, sure.
I actually mean
that had. Oh, come on!
I mean, the last one was really successful.
David, what? Yeah, I know. But when I announced it, when I said that, you went, "Oh no, that's not going to happen." Like you all saying, "No way," and then boom, there it is.
No, it's a good one. I think I'm actually most
impressed
by James's Starfield one.
Why?
I don't know, because I never thought they would start with it, because I thought it's an Xbox conference and they're going to start with an Xbox. So I thought that was quite. I was really surprised.
Yeah, so a major game that we knew was getting shown off at this conference, announcing that would be shown first is more impressive than plucking a game out of air and getting it bang on. Yeah, well, nice one. Cheers, Matt.
Well,
Be gracious.
Dave, you called it Rabbids 2. You didn't give it the full name, so Enel could say something too.
What was it called? It had a bit of a shit name as well, didn't it?
I can't remember it. Subtitle.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones where it's like, just call it Mario Rabbids 2. It just makes so much more sense.
It's weird, that game as well, because I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was quite good, but for some reason, I have zero interest in this one. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because at that time there wasn't much out on the Switch really, and it was
I think that's it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll do very well. I think people bought that because it was a Mario game on Switch when there was hardly any games on the Switch.
Yeah,
it's called Sparks of Hope, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, God, just call it 2. What's the matter? Are they hoping that people get the wrong one for Christmas? Like, that's what it feels like. You got me the old one. It was the same price, but I know it's marketing. Right, okay. So that's the predictions. That's E3 done for this year. Sorry, it feels like it's gone on forever, but we're at the end of it now.
No more speak of it again. E3 now. That is it.
And the rest of the show will be more normal. Let's get on to what you've been playing.
I mean, we've only got. I mean, I don't know how long we're gonna Should we do questions still? Should we see where we're at by the end of what
We'll
you've been
see where
playing?
we're at, and we can drop. Have we got a lot of them then?
We've only got a few, but there's some pretty good ones.
Okay.
But I mean, we can always just save them for next week.
Roll them over. Yeah. Be like Euro Millions, where no one wins. Right, okay. So I guess the biggest release that came out over E3, which I wonder if that was the right thing to do, you know? Like, coverage of it must be down compared to what it would have been if it come out like a month before.
Around E3 time. I'm like, what are you
really?
doing?
Yeah, but like bang on when E3 starts. That never usually happens, does it?
It's in E3 week, I'm sure. It's like, Christ, like...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Ratchet and Clank on the PS5 came out. A Rift in Time.
It's just Rift in Time.
Oh, not a Rift in Time.
No,
Rift
I
in
keep
Time.
thinking it's a Rift, but it's just Rift in Time.
Okay. Who's been playing it? So I've finished it. James? James
has muted himself and forgotten.
James.
Hi.
Or is that...
Sorry.
There he is. Yeah.
What's up?
I had muted myself and it wouldn't unmute for some reason. Sorry.
You know, when I said, before I started this section, I said, it'll be more normal for the rest of the podcast. Well, there you go. There you go.
Sorry,
James, how far into Ratchet and Clank are you?
I've played about 6 to 7 hours, but quite a lot of that was where I got stuck with a bug for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, I think it was.
Let's leave the bugs until later. We'll get to them. Matt, how far into it are you?
I've played about 10 hours.
Wow, okay, smashed it.
Feels like I'm getting near the end, but I'm not going to say exactly where I am because it may be a spoiler, but it feels like it feels like things are coming to a conclusion.
Well, let's start with you then. What do you think?
So I haven't played a Ratchet and Clank game before, so I don't really have a history with these characters or the series. Know nothing about any of the characters other than the fact one's called Ratchet and one's called Clank. I mean, I knew which one was which. It's not quite that bad. I was like, is a robot? No, I knew who was which. Well, first of all, let's just say it looks absolutely mind-blowingly good. I think it looks stunning in almost every minute I'm playing. So I'm like, God, this looks so good. And yeah, I'm continually impressed.
So I suppose we better ask that. What graphics mode are you using?
I'm playing on that Performance RT or whatever it is.
Oh, you're playing Performance RT as well.
Yeah.
So I'm playing that. What are you playing on, James?
Also Performance RT.
Yeah, I think it's the way to go. I mean, like you guys played Miles Morales where that wasn't an option. And then when I played that game, I looked at all three options and I was like, well, there's no way, now that I've seen it in 60 frames, there's no way I'm playing it on fidelity mode because like the 30 frames is just mind-blowingly bad after you've been playing 60 frames per second games for a long time.
This has completely changed my view on all of that. Like before, I wasn't terribly bothered, but now I really feel very bothered about it because it was.
It felt like I couldn't notice the difference of 60 frames until I went back. And then I was like, oh my God, how did I ever play a game in 30 frames? This is nuts. And then when I tried performance mode, I was like, this kind of looks like a PS4 game. I'm talking about Miles Morales here. It just looks like the PS4 game, really, but with faster loading. But then I bought it after, or I played, but you lent it to me, James, after the performance RT mode, which is performance RT mode is the 60 frames per second. It's got a lower resolution, but it's a dynamic one, so it fluctuates. But it takes away a lot of density of, say, the traffic and the pedestrians and stuff. And it adds ray tracing, so you still get, and it's a lower quality ray tracing than it is in fidelity mode, but it is there. And for me, it was mind-blowingly good. Like, it really looked great. And we were talking about ray tracing earlier, Sean, and I think for me personally, it's not the same for everyone, but for me personally, it's really noticeable, and it's a massive improvement. Like, when you're flying past windows in Spider-Man and you're seeing the real-time reflections, it takes it to that next level of realism. Like, you really do notice it. I think the options are great, but also a little bit annoying because I don't want to be a PC gamer. However, if they stick to very rigid options, like say no more than 3, then that makes sense to me because some people appreciate more frame rate Some people don't care about that frame rate. You know, I'm with you, James. I think it's a big thing for me now. Going into it, it wasn't really. And I think there's people that still think 30 frames is fine, you know, for me. So to have that option, to have the 4K 30 frame stuff, that's great, right? But then for those people that now are like me, that are like obsessed with the 60 frame stuff, then having that option, I get it, right? I think it's the right thing to do. I think people would say, well, why don't you do PC gaming? Because I think it's a lot more complicated than that. Like, the stuff that I've seen is very much, here's a slider, put the slider in the right place. That would kill me. Like, it would kill me. How realistic do you want the hair? It's like, no, I don't want to go into that much detail. I just want the free options, and I know that they work. But yeah, so the options here for me, I was always going to go performance RT because I'd played Spider-Man like that and I loved it. And I don't regret it, other than the opening scene, Matt, where did you play the whole thing from the start in performance RT? Yeah. You know the opening scene where you're in a parade?
Yes.
And it tells you, look, density of like characters and ships and all that stuff is scaled down. There's a bit where you're in a parade going along in a float and you look into the crowd and it definitely looks like a COVID crowd. You know what I mean? Like a pandemic crowd where it's all socially distancing. There's like loads of empty chairs and shit.
I might go replay that start bit in the full mode once I've finished
just
it.
To see if the full crowd are there, because that was the only time that I went, wow, this is really noticeable. But yeah, sorry, go on.
So it looks stunning, and I've kind of been a bit mixed on this game, really. The first hour or so, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. It's fun, seeing where the story's taking me, and you know, I'm enjoying it. And then after about the first couple of hours, until maybe like 5 or 6 hours in, I was like, it's not really pushing anything. Nothing's really. I wouldn't say this is cutting edge in any way. It's fun to play. It looks gorgeous, but it's not really doing an awful lot. But then, in the most recent, like 3 or 4 hours, I've kind of settled into the rhythm, and it might not be doing anything truly mind-blowing and pushing platforming forward in any way, I think, for me. But I really like the rhythm and the cadence of the game. You know, I'm enjoying using all the weapons, and at first I was like, I'm just probably going to use a couple of weapons I like, but I'm enjoying using every weapon depending on the situation. I'm really enjoying the combat. Again, it's not doing anything truly special, I don't think, at all, but it's fun. It's just fun, and I like the story, like the characters. I think it looks great, and it's going along at a nice pace, and yeah, I don't think it's doing anything mind-blowing, but what it is doing, it's really solid, and it's just really pleasant to be playing it and to watch it and enjoy it. So yeah, it's a bit weird. You see so many like Sony first party games where they do often such amazing things, and you know, everyone has their views on Last of Us Part 2, but then there's, you know, that game blew me away. And then you've got things like God of War, so on and so forth, Uncharted. This game doesn't really kind of feel on that same level. Graphics wise, absolutely, and it does some really stunning things there, as I mentioned, but as a game, it's not really elevating anything, I don't think, to another level. But having said that, I'm really, really enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can agree with you more. One of the hardest things when I was avoiding E3 news and stuff was that I love going in forums. Like, if I'm playing a brand new game, I love going in forums, just seeing what people think of it. Love listening to podcasts, seeing what the press think of it or whatever. I've never felt so confused, I guess, or so isolated in my view on a game. Like, I suppose I have. Maybe that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, Yakuza, obviously, I really didn't get on with that, and people are just real big fans of that series. But with this, you know, I saw the review scores come in; they were 9s and stuff. I played the game, and I think it looks great. I saw Digital Foundry say this is one of the best looking games ever to come out, and I was like, for me, this isn't even close to being one of the best looking games that ever come out. I think it looks great. I don't think it looks like
I think it is
mind blowing.
I think absolutely is. The detail and the lighting is just something else.
But like, I've got so many problems with it, and it's not to say it's a bad game, because I enjoyed my time with it. I saw it through to the end, and that doesn't always happen. But Right, so for starters, Ratchet and Clank is not a platform game, right? It's a shooter. It's like a more child-friendly third-person shooter game, right? That's what you're doing. You're running into kill rooms and you're killing lots of enemies. But as you say, like for the first hour, I was like, "Fucking, this is great! Like these weapons are great. This is really good feel to it. This is really good." And then I was like, "No, when's it gonna start doing new stuff?" And the further and further I got into it, I was like, "Oh, it's not. It's just gonna put more enemies at me." And there are certain levels, like, okay, so let's stick with gameplay for a start, right? I don't like how scarce the ammo is because there are so many weapons that I spent way too much time in that weapon wheel. You know, it just felt like, yes, you've got the hot keys, you can switch weapons using the D-pad, but that only gives you access to 4 weapons in that way.
Yeah.
And there are battles, a lot of battles, where you need like 10 weapons to get through it because you're not getting ammo enough, and you've got to constantly switch depending on what enemy type.
Yeah, I mean, on the subject of ammo, I mean, I have now in the last few hours, I've really enjoyed using all the weapons. But when I first thought, I'm just going to choose a couple I like, it's all the games that have loads of weapons. I often just focus on a couple. I'll upgrade them once fully. I'll enjoy them and don't really need to touch everything else. But the ammo is so scarce that I'm like, okay, use this weapon. Okay, all the ammo's gone. Use that weapon. I'm basically like, I'm going through and as you said there, I'm basically going through every single weapon in like a battle because, okay, I lost the ammo. Okay, ammo's done there. Ammo's lost there. Okay, I'm going through all like 10 or 12 weapons because I've just run out of ammo.
And it's like that robot thing, right, that slams down and makes those blue waves go towards you or whatever. You fight that a lot, and his health bar is still there, and it's like a bullet sponge still. I just found everything. I suppose the way I put it, I just found everything very repetitive, which I think would be fine if I enjoyed the story more, and I just couldn't get into the story either. Like, there's a section in it. You've done the trial, right, Matt?
The pirate one?
I was trying to... Yeah, okay. I was trying to talk around it, but yeah, the pirate one. And, like, I loved that section, not because of essentially what I was doing, because you're not really doing anything too dissimilar, but it felt a little bit different, and it was feeding what you were doing through to you while you were doing it throughout the whole thing. And I thought, that's really cool. But that's the only point in the game where it does it. Like, there's bits in it where I'm like, right, what am I supposed to be doing now? It's like, you need to go and get this. And it's like, right, why? I can't really, I wasn't really following it or really interested. I think that a lot of it was down to me just not being interested, and it doesn't introduce bits of the story into the game. Like, the game's Ratchet and Clank, right? Like, what does Clank do outside of those puzzle things? Why are you carrying him around on your back? He's not doing anything.
He's your buddy. He's your sidekick.
Yeah, but he's not doing anything.
He does that
little
helicopter thing. About...
Yeah, how often did you use that? Like, twice throughout the whole game? It's... that's the thing. Like, say with Banjo-Kazooie, Kazooie's doing everything. Like, during pretty much every move you're doing in that game. Like, you get it. You get the connection. Here, you don't. There's also, let's introduce 2 new characters, like, to work alongside the heroes. Fine. And you'll be playing as one of those characters. Fine. But there's no difference between playing between 2 characters. Like, no difference whatsoever. If you unlock one weapon with one character, it just, same for the other one as well.
And it's funny because I've seen some people saying that that's really good. They're like, it's great that you can, you don't have to like unlock everything all over again. It's like, but couldn't we just have had a different moveset or something? Just to make it a bit different,
Like, where am I getting the difference between the 2 characters, Rivet and Ratchet, while I'm playing the game? There's none. You see it in the cutscenes, and they've got 2 different motivations, and it explores that bit. But while you're playing the game, there's literally no difference in what you're doing. And it's kind of like, this is like, I'm fighting the same enemies, I'm fighting them in the same way, same tactics, same everything. what's the point in having these characters if they're not going to offer anything gameplay-wise? Like, that's how I felt while playing it. And now, look, I'm focusing on the negatives here because there's not been a lot of negative spoken about this game on the content that I've listened to, right? But I did enjoy it. I got to the end. I'd say if I was reviewing it, it's looking at around a 7 out of 10. I can't connect with the people saying that this is an incredible video game because I really don't think it is. I had, I've seen a lot of people saying, I had to go on and platinum this. Now, there are a lot of hidden items and things to discover, collectibles and stuff, but at no point did I feel the need to go and do them. Like, I really didn't. And I've played, with Spider-Man, it felt like I really wanted to do all that stuff, but in this, I just did not. Like, the armour and stuff just seemed completely pointless. You can wear a helmet. After a couple of levels of using one, I was like, why would I use one if, the animation is so good on their faces and stuff like that? Why would I put a helmet on? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I always found that a bit of a shame. I don't want to cover up the characters because they look awesome.
Yeah, and by the end of it, I was kind of like, the final boss battle is pretty it's really impressive. But at the same time, I was just shooting at something again, And
yeah, but it is a shooter.
Fuck. Yeah, I know, but there was no. Destiny's just a shooter, but it introduced interesting ways of trying to defeat enemies.
I
Whereas
would like
this,
more
it was
interesting
kind of
mechanics, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's nothing to it.
And that's the thing with it, is that, we talked about this a bit earlier, and it's like, that's the problem with this, is, you see, I'm kind of in between you and Matt on this. I'm enjoying it. I've only played it for 6 or 7 hours. I am enjoying what I'm playing. I enjoyed the exploration side and finding all the bits and pieces and stuff like that, because I'm the kind of person that enjoys doing that kind of thing. But in terms of gameplay mechanics or whatever, this doesn't do anything new, and it doesn't mix things up at all. It's not like in some of the best sort of platformer games that we've had over the last couple of years, there's always new things being introduced all the time. Just look at It Takes Two. For example, they're just trying new things all the time.
New ideas.
Constantly new ideas, new things. They don't do that at all in this. It's very polished, apart from the bugs that I'll get to in a second. But it's of a type, and it doesn't really feel like it's. I played the other Ratchet and Clank, the one where they kind of soft rebooted it on PS4. I wouldn't say it's much on from that. The thing I've been a little bit disappointed with this was that the whole Rifts thing was supposed to be a big deal. This idea, we need this, the SSD to do all of this. I didn't really get anything. So far, I'm not getting any impression that that's a technical achievement.
The on-rail stuff, the on-rail stuff where you're going between dimensions is cool, but they're all on rails and you're going through. It's a cool effect and it looks cool.
Yeah,
but the stuff in combat where you just zoom over to another side, all right, you can say, no, that's really impressive because of these reasons. That's fine, but as a player, I'm sitting there going, all I'm doing is just I might as well just warp. It makes no difference to me.
Yeah.
In terms of actually playing the game, it makes no difference. And I don't see how that's any different to what Portal was doing all those years ago. I think
I definitely agree with you on that, where you see a yellow one and you just zoom across the map, it's whatever, it's like it's not doing anything too much, but I do like it when you're on a rail and you're going between different environments very quickly.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Feels really impressive. It does feel like something that couldn't be done on the older machines, in terms of, but it's all on rails, obviously. It's not massively in terms of, it's not really changing things up much in terms of gameplay. You're just on a rail seeing new environments around you, but it's still mightily impressive, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it is when you look at what they had to do to get that to work. But as a player, I'm sitting there going, that's a cool effect and nothing more. You know what I mean? Not everyone playing this game is going to go, that wasn't possible on a HD because it wouldn't load quick enough. No one, as a player, you don't care about that. I want to see stuff that utilises the SSD.
But I think that did,
the game better.
I think that did utilise your SSD because it
of course
new
it
environments. So I was like, and that felt impressive.
But what I'm saying is that feels impressive because of the technology, not because of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I would say it's more impressive how the load times are really, really short between going from level to level, because when you're playing through the main story of that game, it felt like you could see the benefit for the player because it's keeping the pace up. At no point did you think... It was one of those games where you were like, I'll wait until I get to the end of this bit and then I'll turn it off. But the chances are, at the end of that bit, it was like... But God of War did that. Like, God of War did that where it was like, oh, I'll get to this bit and then I'll turn it off. But it doesn't give you those moments where you kind of go, all right, here's the break.
Mm.
It never lets up. And so I appreciate that more than I did the on-rail bits where it was just a new environment every time.
I think the other problem I had was, I have to talk about the bugs because it soured me at the beginning of the game to the whole thing, because first of all, I mean, I had technical problems first of all because okay, on PS5 it attempts 120 hertz mode, like if you have it on auto in the settings, and for some reason that doesn't play very well with my TV, and I wasn't aware of that. And it's like,
you were saying, oh, what about all the screen tearing?
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't seen any.
Yeah.
And you were like, what?
I know, you see, this is the thing, because everyone was going on about what a technical showcase it was, and I was just thinking, this, like, it doesn't look great. Like, I'm moving around, the screen's tearing.
Pixel art.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't look good at all. And then I looked it up, and like other people had said, yeah, just disable the 120 hertz mode, because my TV can't do it properly anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then I was like, oh well, okay, yeah, this does make a huge difference. But then I got stuck with a bug on the first, like in the first city that you're on, where it was very irritating, because I spent probably about an hour and a half trying to like get around the bug, try and see if I could, still sort of progress. And then in the end, I was thinking, okay, this is not even going to be possible. I'm going to have to restart the entire game, because I was only like an hour into it or whatever, but it was still irritating that you're like, okay, this doesn't bode well, like for the rest of the game, if this is going to happen a lot. But then I found...
What happened?
Well, then I found that actually what you can do is when the game, you have like the load screen, if you, instead of just clicking continue, you can click load, and it's actually saved a whole bunch of backup save games as well, from like slightly further back.
But what happened? What was the bug? You haven't said what the bug was.
The bug I had was that, there's that bit where you have to chase that agent like through the city.
Yeah.
You remember that bit? It's like so first of all, I was like chasing him through the city, then I got to the end, and then you're supposed to use your wrench to like make a pad become active. But on my one...
That's right.
Yeah, on my one, for some reason, it just wouldn't become active, because apparently I hadn't killed all the enemies, even though there were no enemies around, like, to kill.
Right, okay, so I had the same thing, but I found the last enemy. Because what happens is, during that chase scene, there are enemies shooting you, but you don't stop to kill them because you're chasing something. So I got to that character and I couldn't activate that pad either, and I thought it was a bug. But then I found one enemy that I hadn't killed. I went back quite a way and found one enemy that I didn't kill, and I killed it, and then the music changed and I went back and I could do it.
See, I did that.
I did have another bug. You know the bit where you have to kill a bunch of enemies and there's a dome in a mesh?
Yeah.
Right. So halfway through killing those enemies, a bunch of new ones come like out of the dimension and spawn. But they didn't do that for me, so I was stuck and had to redo it. Look, reload the last checkpoint. Mm-hmm. That's funny you should say that. I've forgotten all about that. But yeah, it
was weird, because even when the music did change your mind, but it still didn't work. It was that.
Yeah,
and
weird.
then they released a patch, and I thought, okay, well, maybe this has fixed it. I loaded the game up, and instead, the nightclub that you're supposed to go through, the door was just closed. And it's like, there was no way you could open it. I was like, okay, well, I can't go any further
on the
than
list,
this.
James.
Yeah, and exactly.
Yeah, ain't coming in, boy.
Yeah, it was really annoying, and so that kind of soured me a little bit, because of that. But then after that, I did begin to enjoy it a great deal more. And as Matt said, it's. I mean, I've enjoyed the discovery elements and like going around, and because I enjoy collecting stuff. I don't mind doing that. It's quite fun, but also a lot of throughout the whole game, it gives the impression of being really massive, of like being huge, like these huge areas that you're sort of like, getting around. But actually, when you look down at it, they're quite small. Like most areas are actually quite small, quite easy to explore, which is fine. But it does a very good job of sort of, giving this idea that there's this sort of grand scale on.
Yeah, it's a good sense of scale to things, but
it's like you said, it's a solid 7 out of 10 game, and which is. I feel a bit of a shame considering like all the stuff that Sony have released recently as like first party games. I feel have been a lot better than this in the sense that they've been a lot more sort of innovative and they've tried new things. This doesn't feel that. And
this feels subpar compared to say something like Returnal, where you can look at it and go, right, I kind of get this, but when you ask him for 70 quid for it, I do kind of think like, all right, it does the technical stuff that you've been talking about, Matt, and that a lot of people have been talking about. How's that translate to the gamer? How's it? We're consumers at the end of the day, and all right, we're aware of all the technical cool stuff it's doing. But I know Harry was sitting there and he couldn't give a shit about those on-rail bits where there were different environments. Like it didn't make him go whoa at any point. Like he didn't care about it. So
see, and that's the thing, because I went back recently and started playing Mario Sunshine again and regretted it because it's not very good. But
it's not.
Compared with this though, it still at least was trying different things all the time. There's still like a lot. I mean, it fails quite a lot of those things.
That's what kills me. So many people have said, "Oh, this is Nintendo quality," and I was like, "No, it's not. No, it's not." And and I've also seen Pixar quality for the story, and I just think, right, firstly, it doesn't make it Pixar quality just because it's touching on some real world anxiety issues, right? It doesn't. Like that doesn't suddenly put it up to Pixar level. It's how they present those real world adult themes. That's what Pixar are really good at. This doesn't get anywhere close to that. Secondly, Nintendo, if you're saying Nintendo quality and you're looking at it and going, well, it's kind of a kid's game, but adults can appreciate it. That's not what Nintendo do.
No, it's not at all.
What Nintendo do is the constant ideas, the incredible moments, like constantly. Like that's what Nintendo do. That's Nintendo quality to me, and this does not do that. Like this absolutely does not do that.
And that's why, like as I said, it's a good solid game, but it would not trouble my Game of the Year list. Like it would not anywhere near be anywhere near it. I don't think, because it's
shame really. Bit disappointed. We're gonna get these games. We're gonna get these games that Sony release, and they're not going to be. We're not going to feel they're as good as some of their others, right? That's going to happen. And if you're enjoying this game, I'm happy for you. Like, man, if this is your bag, then that's all cool. What makes it worse is that these games are coming out for 70 quid, I guess. And you kind of go, why? Do you know what I mean?
They've set an incredibly high bar for themselves when you look at their other first-party output, and this one isn't quite at the same level. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm super happy to play it, and I think it's a good game worth recommending. It's just not doing anything particularly new and doesn't quite hit the same incredibly high level that for their Sony's other first-party titles.
If you could get this for like 40, 45 quid, I'd be like, yeah, get it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
It's a good blast. But like, it's that 70 quid price point says this is premium.
I paid 64, David, for it.
Don't think it is. Yeah, I paid like 65 actually. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Especially if you've got a digital console. Like, you haven't got that choice.
Yeah,
especially now they've gotten rid of the codes and stuff.
When games like this come out, like it makes you feel even more like, you really need to buy a disc version because you'd be mad not to really.
But also to go back on the bugs, I mean, I've also experienced a bunch of bugs, and not in the same ones you had, but when if I was about to go through like a portal, I would be like stuck in scenery. I've had that a bunch of times. If I've like smashed something near some glass, I've been stuck in scenery. There's bits where like the level didn't load. Luckily, I can just go like restart checkpoint, and it's often fixed it. But again, for a first party title,
I had one where Ratchet had no right arm, and I was just running around with no right arm for ages. So there are a lot
but
of
again,
bugs.
for a Sony first party title, that's not our common to experience those kind of bugs, which is
Hold on, really? On PS5, it's got quite a good track record for that.
Returnal.
Do you remember Miles Morales, where you just turn into a lamp and then it would crash?
Returnal was a mess, wasn't it, as well?
The other big first-party titles, bugs haven't really seemed like a huge thing, so it's a bit more surprising here. But no, I'm going to play to the end. I mean, I feel like I'm getting near the end, and I'm really
Sounds
glad
like you are. If you spent 10 hours in it, you must be. You must be.
Should be.
But what about the puzzles? What do you reckon about the puzzles?
I thought they were great. I mean, one of them is basically like a new Lemmings game.
Yeah, it really does feel like Lemmings, doesn't it?
I thought they're all. I mean, So there's one that's kind of like Lemmings, where you have a bunch of robots who are getting from one end of the level to the other, and you have to use these different balls which you can pick up, which give you different abilities. One might speed them up, one might power something within the level to move them around a bit. Others might make them jump high. I thought that was really good. I think they're in like sets of 3. I thought they were all really enjoyable. I
really like them as well, but the last section they do with those, I was just like, now this is just busy work. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really enjoyed like the first few of them, and then there's one towards the end of the game where I just thought I can't be fucked, and it does the Spider-Man thing where it says you could just skip it, don't worry about it.
Oh, right, and, I've really enjoyed them. The other minigame...
Yeah, but wait until you get to that last one, because it really does get tedious. You're like, okay, I'll go and find the other orb. Where does this one go now? Oh, I don't care anymore, because it's not quick, is it? You can't just like try things out, because you've got to walk over there, you've got to throw it, you've got to pick it up, select the right one, and it's
I thought
this is too many.
Oh, I've enjoyed every one of them. The other type of puzzle I'm not such a fan of, where you're like a robot spider, and
see, I prefer those.
The idea is that you're going in and you're clearing the virus. Basically, what it means is as this spider, you're basically going around and shooting loads of enemies, essentially. You need to find these
shooting shit up.
certain things that unlock these or take down this kind of force field, so you can basically kill enemies and get rid of the virus. That was more laborious for me, because that isn't as quick. I'm like, okay, you've got to go over here and find the thing. I don't know. I've out of the two, I way prefer the Lemmings one. Wasn't such a fan of the other spider virus one.
Right, that's probably it for Ratchet and Clank, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think
it's good.
We talked it to death.
It's good. It's a good game. Just,
So, James, you have played the others, and...
Well, I played one, yeah.
This isn't doing anything...
Yeah, I've only played the PS4 one.
Yeah, the 2016 one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you would say this isn't doing anything drastically different from the earlier one?
I didn't feel so, no.
I'm with James.
Well, I'm definitely enjoying it. Finish it next week.
Cool. All right, we're definitely not doing questions. Sean, what have you been playing this week?
I mean, I've got loads, but I'll trim it. So I finished The Wild at Heart, the Pikmin-esque one I've been playing on Game Pass. It's fucking great. Loved it, start to finish. Just really charming, beautiful art and music. Story sort of doesn't really, doesn't sort of resolve in an interesting way. It's just sort of people have realizations and go, oh yeah, guess everything's all right. And that's kind of the end.
Just like life.
Just in terms of, actually playing it, the design of it. Just loads of really great puzzles that sort of get hard, more and more complex, but never, they're never like stupidly hard. They just require more and more sort of, observation and thinking, like, right, I need to get over there. What possible routes are there? And when you get the second character, it gets really interesting, because she can get into certain areas that the first character can't, and then it's like, well, how can I throw the guys to bits where she can get them and then move? It's just really good. Really loved it. I don't know how long it took me to finish though, because I think there's a weird bug with, I assume it's related to quick resume or standby or whatever, where basically the clock at the end of the game says that I spent about 70 hours on it, which is not true. But really loved it. And I've gone back to, well, technically not gone back to Control, because I bought it for the Series S. I know it's on Game Pass, but it's only the base version, and I'd...
Oh, right, so you bought the flashy one.
Yeah, because I'd...
what does that add? Like what in terms of graphics? In terms of the graphics?
This is the thing, right? Because I don't know if it's technically added like proper ray tracing. I assume not. But it does look fucking amazing. Like, so, having previously played this on the PS4 Pro, I then tried, the base Game Pass version, and it wasn't great on the Series S. It was like really obviously running the base Xbox One version, because it's just constantly like just really bad textures everywhere and stuff. It's like really noticeable. Whereas this has been lovely. It's like, as far as I can tell, constant 60 frames, which The PS4 Pro version definitely wasn't. In fact, it was struggling with the constant 30 most of the time. It looks and runs beautifully, and I think it makes a big difference. Sort of going back in, having a like half a clue as to what is actually going on, because it's a game that very much enjoys just throwing stuff at you and just and it's just intentionally weird and confusing and and that's what it's doing on purpose. Whereas I've enjoyed going back and not constantly just been going what? Wait, what the fuck is happening? Why am I the boss now? What is happening? Really loving it. Oh, also the fact that there's loads of assist options now, because I never got that into the combat. And it was interesting. I posted on Twitter saying that just posted a screenshot and said I'm really enjoying playing Control finally. And I had a lot of people say I didn't really get on with the combat. And it's it doesn't matter anymore, because you just if you really want to, you can make yourself completely immortal, or you can just there's a really generous aim assist or whatever. And I do think this is really a case, and I don't think the combat was bad particularly, but I do think this is a case where it's definitely something that should not get in the way of your enjoyment of it if it is a barrier to you, because it's just
it looks like more just a visual treat.
Exactly,
with all these weird effects and stuff.
Just the journey through this weird compound and all the things you discover and the story and the way it looks and stuff is just completely valid to just want to experience it for those reasons alone, I think. I'm finally into Control. I think I've done 4 or 5 of the main missions. I can't remember how many there are, but I'm not massively, I'm not most of the way through it or anything. But yeah, having a really good time.
Yeah, I absolutely love Control. I love the way it looks. I love the mystery. I actually enjoyed the combat. It got a bit troublesome towards the end, but I loved it.
There was James. There's a bit at the end that you absolutely hated. Is that right?
I did, yeah. As I said, it's utter bullshit, what happens. And it really... I mean, I enjoyed the game. I thought it was pretty good, but the combat was something which irritated me in places, yeah. But that's pre any patches or anything like that, or any changes.
Yeah. The map's a lot better now as well, because I know that was a real problem initially. I can't remember what it was like to begin with. I just remember never being able to read it or figure out where I was on it, whereas now... that has not been a problem for me. So yeah, good game. And it was 14 quid for the complete edition with the next gen enhancements, which may be a bit cheeky charging money for the next gen stuff, but at least it definitely actually works, unlike the next gen version of Wreckfest, which was a disappointment because I paid up for that and it was at first I couldn't tell if it had been enabled or not.
That's not a very good sign.
Well, no. And then it's sort of, long story short, I then asked for a refund because I was just like, well, I'm, if the update has applied, then this really isn't working. It's not doing anything. And it just, a few days had passed, and I was like, why have I spent £9 on this upgrade anyway? I think I would have rather just bought some DLC for it or something instead if I really wanted to, because it's a good game and got it on Game Pass, so happy to chuck the devs some money, but I'd rather get something tangible for it. So I requested a refund and then basically found, I was looking at the comments on one of the official trailer for the next gen enhanced version, and it was just full of people saying so you do have to manually enable it. It's in go to manage installation or whatever for the game. Apparently there's a box there you have to tick. So didn't know that. But yeah, everyone's saying the next gen version is just fucked.
Why all this does is highlight how good that smart delivery stuff was. Yeah. All the troubles that people have had with their PS5 and downloading the right version, and then when they don't take advantage of smart delivery and this sort of stuff, paying for the upgrades and stuff.
Yeah.
Seems like a massive ball ache compared to just Yeah, everything's on Xbox. Like you just whatever you download, it'll know what you're downloading to, and it'll just put the right version on for you.
And I think
need to switch things off and on.
Yeah, and I think especially so like where it's a game that is already on Game Pass anyway. Like I do think it's short-sighted to charge for that upgrade because, as I say, if they just gone, here you go, here's a free next gen upgrade for it, I'd have played it again, and then, as I say, probably bought some DLC for it. There's like 2 season passes that are discounted because it's on Game Pass, and it would have opened the door to that, I think. So yeah, it's just weird. I wonder how long we're going to get these sort of because on the one hand, there's lots of older games. It's like, yeah, fuck it, have an FPS boost, have a free update, and it's like wicked. This this game is running like amazingly well and looks great on my £250 box, which is wicked. But then there are other examples where they've just clearly not put the time in, and it's just a bit shit.
Yeah, I think this is going to go on for a couple of years at least.
Yeah.
Just while there's that transition to the next gen,
Yeah. But yeah, that's it from me this week.
Cool. Well then, we'll call it a night there. I think it's been as James said earlier, it feels like we've been recording for hours and hours and hours, even though our recording in front of us says 2.5 hours. But we've still gone past the Dash Radio time limit.
I don't know. We've got some stuff we need to edit out, so maybe by the time that's done.
True. Oh, there's another edit now as well. For those of you that are listening and wondering what we're talking about, tonight's show has been a disaster to record. Matt would have done a lot of work to make this sound very good.
Yeah.
But it's been a total fucking disaster. I had a power cut. Matt's been dropping in and out of the of the Discord throughout the evening.
Yeah, what a joke.
It's been a crazy one. But we got to the end, and we hope you did too. And listen, there's no need to switch off yet because Matt's got the socials, haven't you, Matt?
I don't know if I have got the socials. I guess I have got the socials. We aren't doing any streaming this week. I know that much.
I don't know. James, are we going to do our thing that we've been talking about?
We can, yeah. Can we start next week, though? It'd be nice to have
Okay, all right. What is it called? Agent something?
I can't remember.
What's it called? Yeah, is that PS Plus game that come out? It's a co-op game.
Oh, the co-op
James
puzzle
and I are
thing.
going to play that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to stream that.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll probably start that next week, shall we?
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Okay, yeah, so no streams this week, but you can still go over to our Twitch channel and give us your Twitch Prime Gaming sub if you haven't already during our E3 coverage. So connect your Amazon and your Twitch accounts, go over there, give us your free sub. We'll really appreciate it. We're on Patreon, as we mentioned at the beginning, patreon.com/TCGS. The bonus show will be out within the next week.
Yeah,
and
looking forward to that.
Talks over from this month, which was the Xbox 2009 one, where they revealed Project Natal with Peter Molyneux was there and Milo was there. It's quite the viewing. Shall we say? And that's now available for £8.15 above patrons. And tcgs.co is the website where you can go on there and get some merch and look at our social links and all the usual bits. And that's it.
Okay, well that's it for this week. Thank you so much for living it. We'll catch you next week. We hope you're doing all right. We really hope you're doing all right. Keep up the doodling. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.